Hello, hello, hello. Hey,
Hi.
welcome. It's Monday. Um, I'm Liz from Knit Night. Got Therese, my
From it.
buddy and from partner in crime from Knit Night, and we're joined by our new guest, Joan Mama Nevin, all the way
Yay.
from California, and we have Caro and Annie and Anne. So welcome everybody. Thanks for coming in. Um, yeah, it's just one of those days. So what's everybody up to?
A sock.
I'm making fake plants because I can't grow them.
That's pretty smart. I'm just saying.
Mm.
Then you don't have to
Reminds
water
me.
them.
Yeah. I've always been like really intrigued with like those wall succulent things, right?
Mhm.
And as much as I like the idea of it, there's no fucking way it would fly in my house, right? So I was like, let's do the next best thing. We'll artificial it. I have all this yarn I've bought over the year, and I haven't officially used it, so we're just gonna make fake plants. So,
Nice.
and I have a
legit.
little, I have a pic. You can't see it. I'm pointing like you can see it. We're gonna pretend like you can. But I have a wall right here where I'm gonna like slowly like stick them on there, and then I'm gonna post it like on Twitter X or Twix or whatever the fuck we're calling it right now, and then tag people into like helping me make more. It's great.
Fun.
There you go. Then you
Sure.
get a complimentary labor from other people.
Send up the bat signal.
Yeah.
You. What is your favorite color?
So, Anne, what are you doing?
I am making a gift for somebody.
Oh, okay. So we won't ask you exactly what it is.
Mm.
You're getting really good about knitting while staring into the screen, though, but you don't quite have Tabitha's scary face.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Tabitha is crazy. Just crazy.
And we love her for it because
Yeah.
she's our kind of crazy.
She mean what she say.
And we love her for it.
Oh, we've got echo.
She mean what she say.
A little
bit.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Sounds all right to me.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna everybody go out one at a time. So
Oh, no, not again.
we haven't had this since Joe's been around. So all right. So somebody start.
I'm trying to figure out.
Do you want me to kick you out then?
Yes, please.
Mhm.
Okay. Do we still have echo? No. So it's either Therese or Joan.
Or here.
Okay.
We're on
Okay.
now.
Okay. Let me bring her back in. Okay.
But I
Do
think
we have
you still
echo now?
Echo.
Do we?
I'm still hearing echo.
Okay. Okay. Can you log completely out, Joan?
Sure.
Okay.
If you could kick me out, please.
Yeah. Do you have earbuds or anything?
Yeah, I have earbuds in.
Oh, okay. Okay. How are we? Do we have echo still?
I don't.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Also,
Okay.
Casey in the comments say, oh, Caro, not making a shawl.
Give her a break. Sometimes she makes hats.
Give her
Plants.
You're still muted. Caro,
Sometimes she makes hats.
can't hear you at all. Sorry, Caro. There we go.
I double muted myself.
Double muted.
I was like, don't tip me. I have the shawl in the other room right now. I'll go grab it.
Do you want me to mute and see if I'm the problem?
Well, I'm hearing everything that's been said. I'm hearing it again. I don't know why.
Does somebody have the stream on and not realize it? I've done that. I've been that person.
Nope. Don't. Oh well.
I think
That's
I'm
it.
the problem. I was playing it on my phone as well.
Oh.
Aha!
Ooh.
Got it.
I can't blame you.
Oh no, I'm still hearing it.
I know. Liz, you're muted. So
I can hear it, but it's really
Can
quiet.
you guys hear
It's
me?
very quiet. Yeah.
Is there echo? Because I turn my earbuds off.
Not for you. Not now.
And I even turn my fan off because I love you people and the fan is loud. Okay. Elle said there
Can't
was
hear
no
the sound.
echo listening.
Okay.
So,
We'll
I guess we just keep going on.
but yeah, also in the previous comments, yes, I was very sorry to miss Saturday, our virtual trunk show, because that's a really cool show. But
was really
anyways,
nice.
Neil did an awesome job, and DK
did.
of course, and that was pretty cool.
He did an awesome job as not Ann Pinkova.
Right.
I love the fact that he had to put that there so that people wouldn't,
People wouldn't get us
Wouldn't
confused.
get
Yeah.
confused.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I gotta borrow the Rush Limbaugh trick and get someone with a very charming Commonwealth accent to fill in for me.
Mhm. And Mark's
Well-
he's busy, so you know.
He's getting sued by Ofcom.
Still?
Oh yeah, there's a next court dates tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I thought it was already set. They already won.
No. Think legal hell ends that quickly? Never.
Oh, well, legal hell everywhere. Gotta admit. So, Annie, what are you doing? Are you still making baby stuff?
Yes. We had the baby shower yesterday
Oh, nice.
on a boat on a little launch on a local river that I've never been on before. And met all Holly's family, which was nice. We had afternoon tea.
Nice.
And I gave them a cardigan and a hat that match and a patchwork quilt
Lovely.
Nice.
for the baby. But
Is
I am
that the
doing-
gal that all the strawberry stuff is for?
Yeah. Yeah, so we got all the favours with strawberries. I've got a strawberry keyring and a little strawberry candle that we have to light when baby's born.
Aw.
All the food was strawberry themed, all the cakes and things. It was really nice. Yeah.
Hope the baby
So-
grows up liking strawberries.
Hopefully,
Baby's like,
yeah.
sorry, I'm allergic.
Yeah, so I was just
what I
going to
was
say
thinking.
that. Yeah.
I was thinking it.
That would be awkward.
So this is the latest make.
Aw, that
Oh,
is
how
so
cute.
cute. The pattern is
And-
really cute.
So I'm making a hat with what's left. So I've used a pattern that's a double knit pattern. And then I'm just putting that pattern round it again,
Oh, cute.
which will probably work because it'll be within the it's got to be about 11 centimeters before I start doing the shaping, and that's working out all right. So
Very
she
nice.
will have a hat that matches, but whether they both fit at the same time is another thing.
Joy of babies.
Yeah, it's a bit it's hard to tell, isn't it, when you haven't seen a little baby for a while? And
Yeah, and they have different size heads too.
yeah, they do. So it's just I'll just have to see. I'm sure some of it will fit.
Reese, what are you doing?
I'm in the middle of a row. Oh, hang on. I have a faux.
Yay!
All right, I just gotta. Okay. So I finished the purple and green socks. Purple,
Very nice.
green, purple and green. And some of these girls have seen this already. I wore them Saturday, and I happened to look down, and there was still a stitch marker. I missed one, so I'm walking around with stitch markers on my clothes.
Well, when I took pictures of that one sweater that you guys know about, I had one on the back. But it was the same color as the yarn, so it didn't show up.
Well, that's
That's
why I
probably-
didn't see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I don't know who
Go ahead.
hasn't left them on at some point.
So I started, of course, I just started this row. I started another 2 pairs of socks. So there's this one,
Aw,
Christmas.
very nice.
Yeah, they're okay. They're not my Christmas colors. I prefer like the pink and turquoise, and the red and green. But it's okay. And then I started another one. And I have a thing over there, and it's still sitting over there. So I started another sock. Just started.
You are in sock mode.
I am. I don't
You
know
went
why.
for a long time not making any socks, and then
Mhm.
now
So that's what I've been doing.
okay. I'm sure Joe will think you could send some to her.
She knits faster than I do.
Yeah, her new sweater that she's done is really pretty. Can't wait to see her in person because she did it well through video.
Yeah.
And she did a lovely job on it.
Yeah, Joe, get your butt over here so we can see your sweater. Come on.
Yeah. December 6th,
December 6th.
our Christmas episode. It's a Friday. I'm not sure what time, probably regular time. Joe was talking about doing it earlier, but I think some people have to work. And if we did it earlier, then they couldn't come. So,
Mhm.
so yeah. And Joan, what are you up to?
I have a sock and another sock and 2 more pairs that I have to get done before Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
Um, You got 10 days.
Well, I am taking next week as vacation, so hopefully
okay.
that will help.
Yeah.
You
But-
could put on an episode of
Oh.
Star Trek or Murder, She Wrote and just get to it.
Oh, I try not to bring up the Star Trek because my husband is so into Star Trek.
One of those guys, eh?
That's
Oh.
a fine. That's a fine man you have there.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
We went to the Long Beach flea market this weekend, and there was a booth that had all of these Star Trek ornaments, and we looked at them. And I am from Southern California. I am halfway between LA and Palm Springs. But so we're looking at the ornaments, and we're like, he has all of those. We have a giant bin of just Star Trek ornaments, and we have had just a Star Trek tree in the past.
Wow.
Oh,
Those
wow.
things ain't cheap.
Huh?
Those things ain't cheap.
No. Well, I mean, we got the first Star Trek ornament back in 91.
Wow.
So, and every year he looks at them. He's not interested in much that's not in the original series. But yeah, he likes his Star Trek a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, my son has the models that he's built of all the ships. He's got, I think,
Mm-hmm.
3 different Enterprises, a Bird of Prey, and a couple others, and a couple Star Wars ones. So he has them, the NCC-1A next to a Star Destroyer on the shelf because, he has to mix them up, make them look like they're battling.
My favorite thing, so I love to go on eBay and look for like random lots of stuff. And I actually got some Star Trek ornaments this year. I'm very excited. But I love it when people just like, they don't know what it is. So they jumble it all together. It's like, it's the star stuff. And they're like,
Yep.
you're in here and it's like, okay, so we got Kirk and we got the Enterprise and here we have
Chewbacca.
Boba Fett and Baby Yoda. Yes. And they're just like, I don't know. I just, it's one of those things. I got
Hang on.
this box. It was absolutely fantastic. It was filled with action figures and I thought that there was a couple things. There's just 2 pictures of it, and one picture, then they had like shaken the box up and then taken another picture. I'm like, I don't know what's all in this, and it was the same thing where, and there was barely any description on it, and it was the entire like box of toys for like $20 with shipping included. And I'm like, I'll take a gamble. I'll see what's in there, and it was incredible. It was the entire cast of Next Generation, Worf twice. We got some Borg in there. We got a Ferengi. We
Wow.
got like, they were like these Polly Pocket sets with the, I thought it was like a play phaser. And I'm like, oh, there's like a phaser and a tricorder in there. That's amazing. No, they actually folded open and the tricorder was all of Medbay. And I'm looking at this like, this is incredible. And they actually had some
Wow.
little Polly Pocket guides in there. They weren't all lost. And I'm like, what do I have?
That's so cool.
I've
That's
had
amazing.
on my
Amazing.
YouTube feed the last couple of times
Yeah.
come up old Star Trek commercials from like the 90s for when they had the new video games coming out.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely hilarious. Shatner sitting next to the Gorn playing against each other, and then they get up and fight, and they recreate the fight from the episode, but they're both old and tired, so they have to keep stopping and resting. And finally, they just give up and sit down and start playing video games again.
Well, one of the famous lines in our house is, I'm a doctor, not whatever it is you just called me.
Yep.
Yep.
My husband can quote it. Hang on, I'm going to go get something and show you guys real quick.
Y'all sound like Charlie Brown's teacher to me.
Sorry.
I've seen the original when I was a child, and then I did see Wrath of Khan in the theaters, and that's it. So I'm like,
Wrath of Khan was a
do it.
pretty good one.
Can I just say that Ricardo Montalban looked way better in the Wrath of Khan movie than he did in the original episode that he was in? Just saying.
It's true.
changed
Though he
that
was scary in the
line.
original episode. Like in a he was more scary in Wrath of Khan, but like scary in the whole room stops when he talks kind of way, when you're like, oh crap. What's he gonna do, that girl?
Yeah, he was more creepy scary in that. In Wrath of Khan, the movie, he was more over dramatic scary. You know, super villain scary.
Yeah. Scary for the big screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the thing back then.
With the style.
Definitely. I have a finished object. Well, somewhat's finished. But it counts.
I finished one succulent. Ta-da.
Yay! Ooh, nice.
It's fake
hey.
and I can't kill it.
Nice. I finished my daughter's Christmas sweater, except I have to tack down the pockets on the inside.
I want to see. Let me see your creation.
Mhm.
Make yourself big. Come on.
Wow.
It's my stream now.
She's
And
making
then
the plans.
got the little pocket flaps.
Oh, that's so
Oh, how
good.
cute.
I have to stitch them down and stitch the inside out. And the pattern was okay, but not, it had a lot of little things that would have been better if they had not been done the way they were.
It looks
It's
so
like-
good though.
Thank you. Just things that, like, the size didn't match the gauge. And things like that are big. But just things that there were easier ways to do them than the way they said do them. And it's kind of like, you know, you could have skipped 3 steps and got to the same spot type thing. Oh, thank you, Emily. So she's happy with it, though. So
Good.
I just have to tack the pockets down, and then she's got it. So yay, I'm done with that.
I'm back with my show and tell. I got these for my husband one year.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, let me make you big.
Okay, sorry.
I have to have it.
Oh, they are so old that like some of the paint is starting to come off of them. I have Mr. Spock too.
See, it looks like he has fingernail polish, but that's because the paint's worn.
You know, we don't judge here, okay?
And start making a list.
You know what? Spock can wear whatever he wants on his nails.
It's true.
Goes to the eyeshadow.
This says 2015, so CBS Studios. I don't know where I got it from, but it with my husband, anything Star Trek is a good present. So whenever something comes up, I need a present. What do you get?
We had the Star Trek cafe here for a while at the
Mhm.
Hilton, and that was fun because the staff was dressed as characters in costumes. So if you're sitting there eating, and then a Ferengi and a Klingon come to your table and just start talking to you and interacting, so it was a lot of fun, and it looked like the inside of one of the ships. It was all set up.
Well, my boys tried to get my husband into Star Wars. That did not go over well.
I want to know why.
Because he's just so, I mean, he watched Star Trek when it came out originally. So something new coming out, you know. I mean, and I told the boys, I was like, I watched Star Wars when it came out in the theaters,
Right.
you know. And that blows their mind. But
Yeah,
you
my
know,
brother's
they were
the same
just-
way.
They're just teenage boy. They were at the time. They were just teenage boys trying to yank our chain.
Yeah, my brother never got into Star Wars as much at all. He was a Trekkie from way back,
Mm-hmm.
like to the point of when the first movie came out, he stood in line for 5 hours
Wow.
to get tickets.
For V'ger,
Yeah, the opening night.
that was the worst Star Trek movie ever.
Yeah.
Wasn't good.
Oh,
I'm trying to
Chopa,
say-
our Halloween Joe. He's
I
working
went
late.
with an ex-boyfriend to watch Star Trek, and I fell asleep in the cinema.
Well,
And he said I was lucky not to get beat up by a load of Trekkies.
Yeah. Yeah, they get pretty intense.
yeah, they can.
It depends, because some of us are like, you know what, you tried. You went to the theater at least. You could have been like, nah, I'm going to stay home and watch
Yeah.
Sex in the City, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't my choice.
I remember, my parents watched Star Trek when it was originally on. That was their Friday night entertainment. And
Yeah.
my brother and I were I wasn't born yet, but my brother was like a year old. And so he claims that's why he's always been infatuated with space, because my parents watched Star Trek. But my kids were Star Wars kids.
Yeah.
Well, they were Star Wars prequel kids because, they didn't want anything to do with that old stuff.
I know when
And
I was
now-
growing up. Oh, sorry, go on.
Now they've come around to accepting that the original trilogy has value.
Nice.
Much
When,
more value than those first 3 movies that they came out with later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like every time they come out with a new trilogy, they're kind of like, hey, did you think those last 3 were bad? Hang on, we got you.
I gotta say, I don't hate
Yep.
the prequels nearly as much as I did after seeing the last 3.
Yeah.
Really?
I think there's
Yeah.
a lot of toys is where the money is really made. So you can always run the old Luke Skywalker action figures with every new go
Mhm.
about.
Oh yeah.
I think they kind of crashed this one.
Yeah. My son, when he was very unhappy to find out when he had to start school that he wasn't going to the Jedi Academy.
Oh.
Bless them.
And yeah, he was really mad because he thought that was an option. And I don't know why he thought that was an option, but we had to explain to him that there was no Jedi Academy. And then later on, he found out about the one that they opened in Brazil. And they taught lightsaber fighting, so he was mad that he couldn't go. So,
It's like
Well.
Hogwarts.
Oh, we,
Yeah.
had, we had lightsabers all over the house a few years ago.
Yeah.
I have lightsabers at my house now.
And sound effects.
I have those too.
He had a selection. He probably still got some of them.
Well, my son works for a company that makes animatronics, and don't tell anybody, but I've met the real Grogu.
That's cool.
I got to see him. So it was my son. My son was over there slapping my hand, going, "Don't touch him."
There's one pinch the cheeks. Just a little cheek pinch.
Right. I mean, that's what I said. It was like, I need to touch him. No. But anyway, it was. It's pretty amazing, some of the stuff they do. His company built the original dragon at Disneyland, the one that burned up.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And apparently the day that it caught on fire was not a good day at work.
No.
He was very upset.
I bet he.
Yeah, that would be a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always amazing how much work goes into all this stuff, and I think as a consumer, we don't always like realize it. It's one of those as long as it works, I'm happy kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get into like the nitty gritty of like how all the components work and everything, it's a whole different beast. There's so when we went to SpaceCon, we shared our booth with Star Wars Theory, and even before we went to San Antonio, his crew had to come out to our warehouse and assemble all of the lightsabers, right? And they were there all day assembling all of them before putting them in the packaging to be shipped out, which that was exciting. Like that was probably the most exciting 6-hour truck drive I've ever done. But I only came out for like a minute to watch, and like there's so many like, okay, I can't speak to the lightsabers you guys got from the store or anything like that, but like these new ones that are coming out are fancy as fuck. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They've got all kinds of like little components. And at one point I was like, what happens if this breaks? It's like, well, the whole thing doesn't work. And it's like, but how am I going to know that as a consumer? Like, is there like a user manual? Do I call you? Like, what do I do?
Yes, it one of the ones that they do at Disneyland where you have they have a ceremony and all of that.
Yes, my son, that's where he got one of his.
Yeah, that's my son got one.
I think
too.
for them, it's just at the booth. But what were you going to say? Sorry, Ann.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I know Star Wars Theory has the big Star Wars YouTube channel, but I guess I wasn't aware of him having like a Star Wars themed booth thing.
Oh yeah, no, it was a
I
whole
guess
thing.
not.
Like I don't want to brag, but I was in his vlog.
Whoa.
I know. No, he wants to do more conventions right now, and he's got theory sabers. That's what he's calling them, because it turns out that the lightsaber itself isn't patented, right? But laser swords you can do whatever you want with. So he's got theory sabers, right? So he's got his theory themed lightsabers. And I realized what a
Kind of
total
like
nerd-
how, we had the fake laser gun. See, as children, we didn't have an on-brand Star Wars or anything ray gun.
Right.
We just got the, like the Farbie of laser guns.
Yeah, it's like that.
So it's kind of that deal.
Mhm.
You want to hear something wild? It's a total subject change, but it's not. It's just welcome to my brain. Lego lost their patent.
What?
Lego lost their patent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so next time you go to convention, take a look
Big.
around, see how many Lego things are now there. Because like when I went to SpaceCon, I was like, "How are you guys able to do this?" And they're like, "They lost their patent 2 months ago." And I was like, "Oh!"
That's crazy.
But the question, one of the great things about Lego is how well they fit together. Other places, they don't fit together as nice, the fake ones.
Mhm.
So
That is true.
how many people can get the really tight fitting Legos?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lego lost their patent.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, I have.
that's how much of an industry nerd I am. I'm like, did you guys hear this news?
I have a custom lightsaber that we ordered from one of the fancy companies. My son got it for me a few years ago for Mother's Day, where you can
have
pick
it?
your hilt. And I don't have it with me because his
You don't
Friends
hear
are
that
making-
very often.
I'm joking.
hey, it was fun.
Having a lightsaber with me, not today.
His friends are filming a Star Wars short film that they wrote, so all of our lightsabers
cool.
are currently being used for that sort of thing. And then for their Halloween party, where they all dressed up as Star Wars characters, they had lightsaber battles.
Wow.
So I heard that was fun. But when my son was
Bring the
doing
saber
fencing,
next time.
yeah, I'll have him bring it back home.
Become one with the nerd force. Show us.
Riley has one that comes apart like Darth Maul's, where you can put them end to end.
Did you see the Shadiversity on double-ended swords working? Because that was a good one.
I did not see that one.
I haven't seen that one.
Basically, they're like, well, it should be pretty predictable, and not to spoil the ending, but they're like, we are tired out using this thing. This is incredibly difficult, but it was just two like broadswords strapped together for the double-ended sword thing. They're like, okay, so we need a slightly longer handle because leverage, and I have no idea how you're going to sheath this thing and carry it around. But as an actual battle implement, it's got some benefits.
Yeah.
Both of my kids worked at Disneyland at one time. And my oldest spent a short stint in the store where you put your own lightsabers together, before they did the really fancy ones. And he said he was talking to this little kid one time and he was telling him, yeah, the good guys use this color. And he looked down at the sword that he was making and he goes, oh, I'm a bad guy.
It's all right, kiddo.
It's okay.
Yeah.
My kids used to play the SWTOR game, and where you could play as a Jedi or Sith characters. And my son was getting a little too into the dark side characters. My husband challenged him to score as many points as he could with light side characters as he was with dark side characters. Because he's like, we really don't need him going down that rabbit hole of darkness. And as he pointed out, Sith dress better. So.
They have better Hugo Boss uniforms. Let's calm down a bit.
So, has everybody been seeing the crazy knitting yarn posts from very unhappy people who are afraid that there's not going to be any yarn, and that if there is, they don't want to buy it from people who might believe different things from them?
No, I've been too busy watching the heavy metal compilations of reaction videos.
Yes.
That's what, I'm not disappointed. I found one and I went to the internet and said, I need more, and I got more, and every one of them is beautiful.
There's so much
fun.
They are.
I don't know if when they made those videos they knew that they were going to become heavy metal legends, but they are, and I appreciate every one of them and their passion for the screaming.
I appreciate the fact that they, chose to go public with their angst. If
you put it on the internet, it becomes public domain. Just saying.
And the ones who are, cutting off their family. I saw one today where she cut off her parents and her brother because they voted MAGA. And she goes, I don't want to be in the will. I never want to speak to them again. I'm queer, bisexual. My husband's bisexual. And they voted for us to be dead. It's like, nah, I'm not going to question this. I'm like, I feel sorry for your kids because clearly you have issues and they probably would be better served if they had their grandparents in their lives. Just saying. Because parents are kind of nuts. But, it was totally normal to cut off your family members for that. Like, because my parents voted for people like me to die.
Yeah.
No, they did not.
No, they didn't.
That's exactly the motivation they went to the voting booth with. It's like, No, they were like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Well, it's unfortunate with us because we did raise our children in a blue state. And so they've kind of turned blue, even though they know we don't like blue. So, it makes it tough. And we just kind of all have an unspoken rule of no politics, except my daughter-in-law. Yeah. She's a wild one.
But you've chosen with your family to accept that family's more important.
Exactly.
There you go.
Which is a grown-up choice to make, which other people can't seem to.
No, I mean, she needs to grow up a lot, but I'm not going to get in her face because what is that going to do?
Right.
That's just going to enforce to her all the garbage that she's been fed. So, but, you just hope that they come around eventually.
One of my friends who's very blue. I have friends from like all over the place, and my typical rule is kind of like, you're cool, let's hang out, right? But like after the election came and went, they reached out to me and they were kind of like, I want to let you know that in this turbulent time when everybody's fighting each other, like I'm not going to do that too. And I was like, were you like concerned? I was like, and they were like, no, I just wanted to set the record clear. And I was like, okay, record's clear. We're still friends. Woo! Let's watch some anime.
Yeah, some of the ones I read were awful. Like this one was talking about a yarn dyer that they've been dealing with for years, and they're like, and she's such a lovely person, and I've met her several times at festivals, but I just can't get over this post she made. So she has the best yarn in the world, but I just can't buy it. And I'm like, okay, so deny yourself the best yarn in the world.
Yeah.
Was it even like a definite conservative post, or was it?
No, it was a Christian end of times post, but she claimed she wasn't on the right; she was on the left. So that's
I know
what was
which one you're
weird
talking
about it.
about,
Yeah, and which was weird.
I feel like
Anyway.
I should be at top of these things. I'm not. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And I have some of her yarn, and she does dye
It's
very
not your
lovely
job,
yarn.
though, Carol. It's literally my job.
But it just gets me
is
to
it?
people that know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing when you're someone you've never met in person; it's an online thing. But when you're cutting out real people in your world,
That's
Just-
a problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's just
Well,
weird.
from what I understand, my daughter-in-law cried all day Wednesday after the election. But, I mean, I could be a jerk about it and rub it in, but I kind of don't believe in kicking somebody
little
while
Dan.
they're down. No, I mean, I just don't want to kick somebody while they're down. And, I have to remember that eventually this person is going to have control of my grandchild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a mature way to view it, right? Like if they're hurting, that's not the time to come in and
Right.
kind of boast and gloat and
Because
stuff
they'll
like that.
definitely not be responsive then.
No,
Oh, yeah.
No,
no.
you can privately do it though.
Yeah.
Good to know what she was crying about.
Right?
Oh,
Specifically.
because she believes what the news media has fed them, that Trump is evil and this is going to be the end of our democracy and blah blah blah.
It's actually the other way around, isn't it?
It is.
Mhm.
It
I
is,
did
but-
like how that black podcaster questioned the fact that he and Biden had such a good meeting. He goes, but I thought Trump was a Nazi fascist. Like that's
Yeah.
what they were saying. How can you have a meeting with him if he's a Nazi fascist? I don't understand. And we're like, dude, we've been asking this question
Joe
for years.
looked delighted to be there. I mean, he was grinning and having a great time.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
it's Joe.
Well, I know that.
Yeah. Bless his
He
Yeah,
did
but this
wander off
a
in the
week ago, he said he was Hitler. And now you're, having a cozy fireside chat. A roaring
Yeah.
fireside chat.
he did wander off in the rainforest
Yeah,
in
he
Brazil,
did.
which was pretty funny.
I have a question though.
Questions.
I noticed right before they named Kamala that he was like so bad. It was like, oh, this is really, really bad. And then once she started campaigning and she was the candidate, he didn't seem as bad to me. So it was like, is there a little bit of acting going on there, Joe?
Or pharmaceuticals,
Maybe.
allegedly.
I think he's
I don't
tired.
know. Like people were saying right after,
Mhm.
they're like, "Look, Biden is coherent. This is amazing." And it's like, yeah, well, it's the morning. It's his only appointment for weeks. And
He's had
look,
time to
Grandpa
recover.
had a good morning. That's good. That's great. But
Yeah.
don't be thinking like, oh, his miraculous recovery.
No. No, I mean, I definitely think it's better that he didn't run because we had a better chance of beating her.
I have a weird theory, and humor me on this. This is some slightly tinfoil hat stuff.
Oh,
Okay.
we love tinfoil hat stuff.
I think in some places she purposely sabotaged herself because she didn't want to do it. Like think about it when she did like the fake call, and then when she turned it, like she made a point of making sure that we could see it was the camera, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've wondered about
She
that
hadn't
too.
actually spoken to the head of the DNC. Like,
She hasn't
What was
done
the
anything since she lost. I think she was in it for the private planes and the hanging out with celebrities and I think she knew she wasn't going to win, but she was going to take advantage of all the perks.
So this is where my tinfoil hat thing comes in, because I don't think she actually wanted to do it. I think what happened is they made her do it.
Yeah.
And so she didn't really have a choice. But she was like in subtle ways, like kind of sabotaging herself. Like if she made a like the whole Joe Rogan thing, right? Like what if like if she had done it so that way she couldn't get on the show that way, right? Then she knew that would have hurt. That's my weird tinfoil hat thing, because even though it's like really easy to say like she did this and she did that, we like at no point did I think she voluntarily did it. What happened is they put her there and they said you're all going to vote for her, right? Which I thought was very strange. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I thought democracy was a choice, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, what was their other option, you think?
No, they didn't present one. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I don't think she was their choice. I think he announced and she jumped in, and nobody else had thought to get in so quickly. And I think at that point I think she jumped in thinking she was supposed to, and no one else jumped in, and then she would, you know, okay, well, I'm here, I'm going to go for it.
The timing works though. They left it for a long time, and Joe was saying, "No, I'm not stepping down. I'm running. I'm running. I'm running." They were well through the primary process when they did the switcheroo. You really can't switch with anybody else at that point.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
yeah.
And my favorite thing is her what is it, autobiography book? That's my favorite, because it's all fake.
Yeah,
It's not
plagiarized book.
not only is it plagiarized, but it's full of pictures of people that she said that are her family that are not her family. and it was verified by Candace Owens, who when she read the book, she started calling people. She called her uncle and said, it's like, hey, who is this person on page like 53? And he was like, that was the neighbor. Right.
Wow.
But in the book, she tried to say, this is my grandma and I love my grandma and blah, 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 blah. And it was like, but it's not your grandma. Like, yeah. And I get like sometimes celebrities use ghostwriters. I'm there, but at least like get one that's fucking competent.
Gets it right.
That's unless she told him to do that.
And
Who knows?
I doubt she even read it. Right. Like if she had read it, she would have looked at that picture and been like, that's not my grandma. Like she would have been like, nah, I shouldn't put that out there in the world.
Well, you know.
Okay. With the 2020 election, there was a lot of just flagrant stuff going on. And then with this one, it was even a more so, you must accept this. You see this, you have to take it, and you have to smile. And the amount of people who did, it's like, yeah, she, this is not going to be a candidate you vote for in the primary. Okay.
Yeah,
and she's going to have non-campaign appearances. Her last speech was 7 minutes. What?
Well, you can't expect her to speak more than that, because then she starts going off on being unburdened and stuff.
Yeah. Wasn't she the first one out?
Yes.
In the original?
Yes, she was. Not even California voted for her.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if she becomes my governor, I would like to move in with one of you, please.
I live in Texas. You're welcomed here.
I was going to say she'd probably be your best bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm from the South, so
You're still welcomed here. It's fine.
I don't know.
Like,
I'm from
okay.
Louisiana. You know how Louisiana and Texans get along.
No, that means you make great gumbo. You're definitely welcomed here. Okay. Like I am bribed by food. You have no idea. I always tell people I'm easy to bribe. No one takes me up on it except for one student when I was a teacher. Okay. Like in the beginning, even on my syllabus that I had the kids take home, I had a part that was underlined that says, I am bribable. Please send me tamales. Right. That's what I put on there. And nobody did except for this one kid at the end of the year. And he came in with this giant casserole of tamales that his mom made. And he was kind of like, I need to pass this class. And I was like, okay, so like, what kind of tamales are these? And so like, I sampled one. I was like, oh, that's some good tamales. I was like, okay, so you're going from like a 20% to like a 65. And he's like, well, what about like an 80 something? He's like, listen, we have to make it believable. I can't just have you suddenly become like an A student overnight.
Bring me some churros.
Yeah.
And we'll talk for next semester.
You said pass is okay.
Yeah. I was like, C's get degrees in this country, my man. You're fine.
Yeah, it's just weird that she has been AOL since AWOL. I mean,
That's
since
okay.
Do you think she's just embarrassed?
No,
Or
no, the woman who got her job doing what she did, I don't think she has any embarrassment in her.
I don't know
Well,
that she ever made any real appearances when she was
Yeah.
vice. I mean, she made a couple little dinky
Yeah.
hi things,
She's
yeah.
but she
probably
wasn't really out in
salty.
public.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the stuff that she did as a district attorney is just,
Bad.
Mhm.
oh, so bad.
Yeah, she's not.
That sounds
Nice.
familiar. With all
Yeah,
the
I just
going on.
I just say that I have enjoyed her mutual dislike with Jill Biden over this campaign because I have found that quite amusing. That it's so obvious how much they can't stand each other when they're near each other.
Really.
Yeah.
I try not to look at Sleepy Joe.
Don't look at him.
It's like a bad
Right.
nightmare we have to get over.
Well, and my husband will tell you that whenever she would talk about something, I'd be like, can you mute it? I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear the word salad.
Mm.
Yeah. It said that her progressive aides talked her out of going on Joe Rogan,
Mm-hmm.
and it would look bad. And Joe Rogan even pointed out the biggest podcast amongst Black men is Joe Rogan. So, if you really wanted to connect with the people, that would have been the podcast to go on.
Mhm. I was really surprised at the run up to the election, how many podcasts I saw of Black people not supporting her.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think part of that was because they were getting tired of being lumped in with the narrative, and they're kind of like, no, you don't speak for me, kind of thing.
well, I remember there was one lady that they did like an interview on the street with her, and she goes, "Oh, bring back my boy Trump because I had money in my pocket when he was in charge."
Yep.
Eggs didn't cost as much as they used to.
No, but good old Newsom is planning on adding a 60 cents a gallon tax to our gas.
Oh my goodness. I'm really
Well-
okay. So you brought up taxes. Okay, so like not my soapbox. I won't be here long.
Okay.
I promise. I have a thing about taxes. Like I understand their intention. I don't like their use. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So some of the things I really don't like about taxes that I think, not that I think that Trump or anybody else is listening to me, but if you are,
Yeah.
okay, I'm helping, right? This thing where if you are a senator and you serve, whatever term, whether it be one or until they kick you out kind of thing, that's
Mhm.
cool. But the caveat that your kid gets to go to school for free, any school, it doesn't matter which one, right? That needs to go. Sorry.
Mhm.
Like that my tax dollars don't go towards your kid's education. It goes to education in general. And if I or anybody else here on this panel has to pay to go to college, guess what? Your kids do too. And last time I checked, you make way more money than me.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's not like you can't afford it, right? So there's
Right.
that. The other thing I would really like to have looked at is the spending that happens when senators go overseas. Now I understand, I get it. When you go to an expensive restaurant, things are going to be expensive. But listen to me, you don't have to go to an expensive restaurant every fucking time, okay? You don't have to spend $300 on a steak dinner with a thing of cognac when you're talking about like politics or something like that. You don't have to.
They have
You know.
McDonald's everywhere.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my
And-
neighbor's going crazy.
And I find the people that do that the most are also the ones that don't want to assist with welfare or food stamps or something like that. Like they're the first ones that come in and be like, that's got to go. It's like, okay, well, you're spending like $300 on this work thing that my tax dollars are also paying for. Did you guys pay for cognac for somebody else? I sure as fuck did not. Right. And then I also would like the spending. I don't know how they're going to change it. I heard that they're obliterating it, but as somebody who worked in education, I have something to say about when charter schools and schools that have tuition like colleges also get to dip into the state budget for education, right? And then they turn around and start asking for more money. So like the reason charter schools are so good, right? The perception that they're so good is first they get state funding, then they get grants, and then they have parents pay tuition. And then halfway through the year, the charter schools always go out to parents being like, oh man, we need a new printer or somebody needs something in their office. Like, could you guys donate? And then like, bam, there's like $5,000. Like Like that okay. All right, that was my soapbox. Thanks for having me.
I would like to find out why we paid $15 million in security for Fauci since he's retired.
I already got on the soapbox once. I'm not getting on it again.
You don't want me on a Fauci soapbox because we'll be here all night and
yeah.
all day
Yeah.
tomorrow.
I'm honestly looking forward to what Doge is going to do because I think it's going to be very entertaining, if
Yeah.
nothing else.
I have enjoyed how they're already diving into some of the spending. Did you know that our tax dollars went towards a study to find out just how horny like monkeys got, right? Versus if they were on whiskey or tequila. First off, who asked for that study? Second, is this actually money laundering? Is this how you money launder? Because I thought you did it through charities. That's what I was told.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one
I don't
today
know.
where they're
Alcoholic monkeys. That's a pretty great money laundering scheme. That's right. Can we get them to fight next?
Nobody's going to ask questions, right? It's like, you know what? We don't want to know. Here's the money.
Well, I
Yes.
would rather them spend money on that than to send the money overseas that should be going to people who've had tragedies with hurricanes.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. The monkey study was done in Europe.
Oh, okay.
It
And
wasn't
then you
even
paid for
Hey,
it?
American monkeys,
No.
American jobs, okay?
No,
American
no
science,
American monkeys were
watch
hired for this.
No
monkeys.
American whiskey either. It was all imported.
European. No. If we're spending this money, we are spending it in house. Okay.
I'm gonna send you the video and about the study that was done.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, my soapbox is the whole FEMA thing.
Yeah.
Because when I
Um,
was very young, I lived through Hurricane Camille, which was a Cat 5 when it hit the shore. And it was bad. It was really bad. So,
A friend of mine told me that people who'd been living in the Red Cross trailers, Red Cross came and took the trailers, and CPS showed up, and anyone who didn't have a safe place for their children, CPS took their kids and put them in foster care.
that's see,
And
stuff like that makes me crazy.
clearly they haven't had time to rebuild their homes. They were living
No,
in, Red Cross trailers, but
yeah.
the Red Cross turned their children over to CPS or whatever organization in whatever state.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the only thing I can say is after we were recovering from a really bad hurricane, the Salvation Army came out and fed us. They had a little trailer and they would cook food and distribute it to us for nothing. So whenever I see those Santas with the bells, I try and give them a little money.
Yeah, they do some good things.
But there's every organization where some people can have power and money, there's always going to be somebody who takes advantage of it.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Oh yeah, that's me. That's what I do. No,
So when does everybody put the decorations up for Christmas?
after Thanksgiving.
December
After Thanksgiving.
1st.
After.
I don't know. I didn't do any
Not
last
Carrie
year.
Smith, who's putting up all her stuff right now.
No.
Emily wanted to put ours up today. Short
But
notice.
it's one of the things about England is that they don't have the Thanksgiving cutoff. They don't have the
Right.
holiday and the, okay, afterwards you're fine.
Right.
No, it's a Halloween one. As soon as Halloween's done, everybody's thinking about putting the Christmas decorations up. So some of
Yeah.
them are up. Some of the houses are all lit up, but not many.
Yeah.
We usually put ours up at the beginning of the first weekend of December. But my daughter is the Christmas elf, so she wants it up sooner.
I didn't even bother last year. That's like my kids are grown; they don't need the decorations. And
Oh, and see, I am such a 5-year-old when it comes to Christmas.
Me too.
I used to be.
I have my house looks like Christmas threw up in it.
I think I'm
Just-
going to have a cat up my Christmas tree this time. Definitely.
Well, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do Vlogmas or not, because I have a lot of Christmas countdowns, like a lot.
Right.
So I was thinking of showing one each day. I'm trying to think. I thought I had one here.
Vlogmas is where you like blog every day up until Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. So
And they're
I did
usually
it last
short.
time, but I didn't do it every day. I just did it intermittently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm
a lot
saying
to
I'm
keep
going
up
to
with.
do every day, but no guarantee.
I did not do any Advents. I've only done them once, which was last year, just one. But
I'm
I still haven't knit the yarn yet, so I can't justify
fair enough.
doing
But
another
I'm
one.
pretty
So.
nosy for when it comes to what everybody has for yarn advents. I want to see them. I want to see what y'all got every time.
Yeah.
Just every
I like
single
to
time.
watch
Just
them.
show me the yarn.
I haven't got any, so I don't think I'll do
Well,
it.
I
Vlogs
loved
are-
mine last year. It was all tonals and they all matched. They all like went from one color all the way through, but I haven't used them and I just can't do another
Vlogs,
one.
vlogs are so interesting. I have a question for you guys and the chat. So, like, I did vlogs for a little bit, and it was by request. And I tried to warn everybody that I'm like a really boring person, like in my day-to-day life. Like, I really am. Like, no. Here, listen. My vlog consisted of me waking up, making coffee, right, dusting the ceiling fans, maybe writing for a couple of hours, doing my master's work for college, and then like petting my dogs, right. So it was 7 days of that. And it blew my mind how often people would watch it. I was like, there's nothing about me cleaning ceiling fans that's interesting. But people were like, I want to see more. And I was like, but nothing's happening.
But you know
So
what's
my
funny?
question is why?
They were hoping
My-
something was going to happen. They were hoping you were setting them up where they're just watching the same thing every day and eventually something would happen and they didn't want to miss it.
My
Okay.
one daughter-in-law told me yesterday that she loves those. She's like, somebody can post a video about we're going to get yogurt, and I'm with her. I'm going to go get yogurt with her. I'm like, okay.
It's nice to see other people's lives and
Yeah.
lifestyles.
It is.
Well, I've come to the realization that my dog has more popularity than I do. They like to see my dog on there.
Oh, Parrot's so cute.
He is adorable.
Puppies are cute.
He-
And so are
he's-
kitties.
He's a dork is what he is. I love him, but he's a dork. But here's one of my countdowns.
Oh, let's see. Oh,
See that.
Mm.
Ooh.
Ooh.
And I have a ridiculous amount. I'm not going to lie to you. I think I have 30. I'm not sure. They're
I
all
didn't-
different, and so I'm sorry. What?
I did make them one year for my kids
Mm-hmm.
when they were older. And so I went and bought like 24 different little sample sizes of cologne or perfume.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I wrapped them up individually for my kids. And then one year I did lipsticks for my daughter and did 24 different, weird colors, bright colors, all sorts of things.
Oh, here's another one. Let me see if I can get the camera. Oh, there we go.
oh, yeah. My in-laws have
Nothing.
that. They have
Yeah.
the box that they turn the.
Mm-hmm. So it's my thing. When both boys moved out, I said, okay, you can take one if you want to. And my oldest son took the original because he loves that one. And then my younger son took one that I really wanted to keep, so I bought myself another one.
There's a lot of yarn advents, but they're just too expensive.
Yeah.
Not expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right now. Maybe
Well,
next year.
I saw one today that was now $50 off, and I went and looked at it, and it was $200. I was like, yikes!
That's like when remember Jo Grace and Ann, remember her with the hedgehog, with her hedgehog advent?
Yeah.
It was like $500
Oh my
that she got on sale.
Yep.
We were talking about custom watches in the office the other day, and they showed them to me, and they were like, $500, and I was like, I am not spending $500 on a watch. Like, that's insane. And they're like, yeah, but just think it's custom. I was like, listen, for $500, I could have a custom pew pew. Okay, I could make that thing pink with glitter on it, right? Like, I can make it like I can do so money.
I'll build you one.
Yeah, but the thing that kind of like blew my mind a little bit is that obviously this is a store that's been around and charging these prices for like 10 years. So I'm like, there's somebody out there that's just like, I want a custom watch that actually looks like everyone else's watch. That's
Yeah,
it.
watches are just
Crazy.
stupidly expensive. Stupid. I mean, I know there's certain, qualities and brands and metal types and whatever, but still,
might-
it's like, yikes.
I might at one point have collected some stupidly expensive
They're
Art Deco
cool.
watches from the 1930s.
Oh wow.
Okay, that's a relic. That's different.
Oh.
Yeah, that's acceptable.
Because I do like the vintage ones.
Um,
I have David's mother's Bulova. I believe it's from the 50s. It has diamonds everywhere. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bulova
I
made.
hate to wear it because, and he's like, you should wear it. I'm like, yeah. And what if it falls off somewhere?
You
Yeah.
can have them put a safety chain on.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah,
still.
Bulova used to be the one for women's watches back in the day. Yeah. But now nobody uses watches as much because everyone's got a phone.
Yeah.
It's not like you need a watch anymore.
or an iWatch.
Oh, wow. Someone inherited a Rolex. I almost had a Tudor. I almost had a Tudor Rolex,
Wow.
which
Hmm.
was the British version.
I wear a watch again now. It's easier than messing about with your phone.
Mm-hmm.
I have a smartwatch, but I never wear it. I never think to charge it.
Yeah.
Does anybody know the name of I'm going to call it a kinetic watch. I don't think that's actually what it is, but it's a
Right.
watch that isn't powered by a battery. It's powered by movements.
Yeah, that is a kinetic. Yeah,
Oh,
mechanical,
hey, look,
mechanical
I-
watch.
I knew a thing, right?
Yeah.
Those are ones I would probably get just because I don't have to worry about it being connected or anything like that. Now I want one.
I feel like most of the, what do you call the Timex and stuff. I feel like most of those are that kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They're usually
have-
battery.
Yeah, I have a couple of mechanical watches that you wind because I can't wear a watch at work. So I only ever wear it on weekends. So I'm like, the battery will die for no reason. But
Why can't you wear it at work?
'cause
I'm
I
sorry.
can't look
Maybe
at
I'm-
costs.
She works in a kitchen. They're pretty particular about jewelry.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Best watch I ever had was a Gucci that I bought on the sidewalk in front of Trump Tower.
Wow.
So technically, since there's a Gucci store in Trump Tower, that means my watch is technically Gucci and not a fake Gucci, because that thing kept the best time, and I wore it until the band wore off and it fell off. But that was
It's good
like
watch.
for a cheap knockoff. That was the best watch I ever had.
Hmm.
'Cause my aunt, when she would come visit us when we lived in New Jersey, would love to go haggle. And she bought my uncle a Rolex one year for Christmas off some guy out of a suitcase on the street. He knew it wasn't a real Rolex, but he would wear it, and people in the church and when he would go places would assume it was real, and he would never comment on it. So just left the mystery up.
I'd
But
like you
she-
to know that I have changed my mind. I do not want a kinetic watch. For these prices, I could also have a different kind of pew pew. So, I'm sorry
Just
to interrupt.
Go to Bucky's probably sells them. Just go to Meyer or
I have a Bucky's
Walmart.
down the road. I go.
They probably
have-
have them.
I have never experienced a Bucky's.
They're magical.
no.
It's like a Walmart, but it's a truck stop.
We
The
we
people are
stopped
better.
at a place coming. We went through Vegas, and there's a big store, and it was right around the time that they were going to do the storming of, what is it, Area 50?
51.
One.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Remember
you
when
can't
they?
stop all of us. They did. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. So they were selling in this store invisible aliens. So it was just a telephone bag, and I'm
Yep.
like,
hmm
somebody is really going to pay for that.
Yep.
I love this country, man.
It was like
I love it.
$15.
Yep.
It's like,
It's like that. Somebody was selling Mountain Air or something on
Wow.
eBay one time, It
Yeah.
was just a jar that they swore was full of healthy mountain air. So if you
Mhm.
lived in a city, you could have, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Canned
hey, it's
air,
like
like
those art. There was a thing the other day I saw about art thing that was just a banana duct taped to a wall, and it sold for over $1 million. And I'm like, I'm all for people being artistic, but some people are just dumb.
Well, I can't say much because I did have a pet rock at one time.
Oh, yeah, I did when I was 9.
I also had a pet
I had
rock.
one
I
too.
gave it googly eyes, and we would go for walks.
Oh, Kara, you and I could have so much fun together.
Mine was not an official pet rock because my parents wouldn't buy me one.
Yeah.
Mine was a pet rock that I rescued
That's
Yeah,
how I
from
got
the
my rock.
driveway.
That's
from the
the
driveway.
best.
It had
That
quartz
is
in it. It was pretty.
the best.
That's how I got my rock, because this was during the time when pet rocks were like on TV, right? And so I
Yeah.
mentioned to my dad, it's like, I want a pet rock. And he was like, hold on, pumpkin. He went outside and came back in with one. He was like, look. And I was like, wow.
Hey, you got to give the guy credit who came up with that. He made a couple $1 million.
Oh my God.
Even back in the
yes.
70s.
He made a
for that.
ridiculous amount of money on those pet rocks.
You're
like-
better off with the mood ring.
Mm-hmm.
I love my mood ring. That was so cool. My friend hated it because every time she would put it on, it would go black.
Oh. She was cold, I take it.
Well, I told her it's because she was evil, but
Oh.
well, because that's what they said. Blue was calm and black was evil. So, you know,
That escalated quickly.
well, she should have taken my ring and put it on. So, what knitting plans does everybody have? Is anybody making holiday items?
Socks.
Well, that's
I-
right. You were doing socks.
Yeah.
I have to make a Christmas stocking for someone, but I can't actually find my pattern, and it has to match the other ones. So I kind of have to find my pattern where my
no.
notes are,
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no!
and it's kind of getting to be that time.
Yeah.
I hope you find it. I hope you find it.
I hope I find it too.
Well,
It'll be real bad.
if Neil were here, he would say, "And if you'd had it on the computer in a spreadsheet, you would have your pattern."
Oh, that's right. You're analog.
Put it
aren't
on your
you?
phone.
Yeah,
Who knits off their phone?
I
Weirdo.
do.
I do if I have to.
No.
Because you can't
I
carry
hate
your
it.
computer everywhere.
Anyways,
I have to-
I know that I've seen the pattern recently. I know that I was going through something and I
I
saw
felt
the
it in my
pattern.
soul. It was close by. I walked by the desk and my heart radiated. It has to be here somewhere.
But that's the thing, though. I know that, like, recently, and by recently, I mean, like, within the last 3 months, I was going through something and I was like, hey, that's where that is. And then I put it back where it was. And then I
And
forgot.
now you can't
where
find
was.
it. Yeah.
So I've been looking everywhere for where the heck that was.
That's what I do.
And I'm not going to pan the camera around, but there's a lot of stacks and a lot of places where it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking for our I have light up gloves when we went camping, and I could not find them for anything. And I know I saw them recently, but who knows where they are?
I have a pair of socks from the same dyer as these. They're like gingerbread colors. They've been on the needles for, I don't know, 5 years or something. And every year, Christmas time, I'm like, I should probably finish those. And then they just go somewhere else. And I trip over the bag that's constantly. Now I'm like, you know what? Instead of casting these on, I'm going to finish those. Can't find them. I will trip over that bag every other day of the week. But when I want them, they're nowhere to be found.
Did Calvin fight them on you?
No, Calvin didn't do nothing to it.
I spent a whole month actually looking for this headset. It goes with my Google phone, right? And I couldn't find them. And I was like, I don't know where they went. Because I'm that person that's like, when I have keys go here. When I have this goes here. And the reason I do that isn't because I have OCD. It's because I know I have to have the routine or I'm going to fucking lose it, right? So one day I was like, oh, I'm going to go grab my earbuds. And I went to the place that they were and they weren't there. And I was like, shit, where did they go? Right? I looked everywhere for these things for like weeks. I could not find them. I got so frustrated. I found them today. I found them, and I don't know how this happened. Lost in this.
Oh, I have
I was
lost
just like, I
things
had a
in
moment.
yarn.
I was like, I don't know how this happened. I just don't. I'm just, you know what? I'm gonna call it a win. I found my yarn. I found my headset.
Don't
I'm
don't
just-
question. Just do.
I'm gonna thank the house brownies. Thank you, house brownies. Thank
That's
you
a win,
for letting me
yeah.
find my stuff.
I have lost stuff in project bags before.
Mhm.
You know.
Mine missing a coat. I couldn't find a coat
Oh, no.
yesterday. I still haven't found it.
Is it in your car trunk? Because that's where I found mine.
I did have a look, and then Tim had a look. So no.
I lost a bracelet. What year was it? 20. Oh,
21,
20.
I think.
Christmas time. David gave me a gold bracelet, like a tennis bracelet, you know. And we went out when we could and where we could. I think it was for my birthday, and it disappeared. And I looked for it for years and years. And we called the place and they didn't have it. And we looked and, you know, and so I thought it was gone. And then one day I was digging in a project bag. There it was at the bottom of the project bag, like 4 years later.
I remember when
Let's
you
have a look
lost
through
that.
your project bags, isn't it?
So what I'm
Yes.
learning is it's yarn. Somehow yarn is an infinite space that when something touches it, it's gone.
Yep.
Well, my
Attracts it.
getting older really sucks because last night, I kid you not, I spent 20 minutes looking for the knitting needles that go in my memory blanket, and they were sitting right next to me.
That's like when you put your glasses on top of your head and then you're like, where are my glasses?
Mm-hmm.
I have tried to make a concentrated effort to put away interchangeable needles when I don't use them anymore where they belong, but I never do. So now, since I know I'm not going to put them away, I unscrew them from the cable and I put them in my little Notions thing. And then I figure the next time the Notions thing is near the needles, I've got like 3 sets in here from other projects because otherwise I just sit them down and then I lose one.
This
know
is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
It's a straight needle, and I couldn't see it right there.
Oh no. No, your headset got hit.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I said your headset got hit. You cut
Okay.
out.
Oh, sorry. No, I mean, it was sitting right next to me, and I couldn't find it.
At least you didn't step on it.
Right.
I have run over a tip of one, and that tip is flatter than a pancake.
Oh.
So,
I did lose a watch once when we lived in New Jersey. It fell off when I got out of the car, and I didn't know where I lost it, but it was an inexpensive watch, so I didn't really worry about it too much. And then when it thawed and all the snow melted, it was sitting in underneath a snowbank, and it was still going.
Nice.
that's a
It's
good
amazing.
watch.
It was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got really bummed out because this story doesn't have a happy ending. But when I went to go do the meetup in San Antonio, I wear a bunch of bracelets when I go to these things. Like it's almost like gauntlet worthy, right?
Mhm.
And one of them had like an amethyst dangly on it. And so at one point I was talking to somebody and I had put my hand on there and I was like, my bracelet doesn't feel right. And I looked at my amethyst, it's gone. And I was like, no. Right. And the thing that sucked is I could have like gotten the camera out and I could have done like the little flash thing, right, and found it, but I was like on wood decking, and so I had looked and I was eyeing the gap in the decking, and I was like, motherfucker, it fell down. So I was like, but one intervention that I am actually really thrilled about, and I don't know who thought about it up in Techland, but they were really smart. When you either have like an Apple or your Google phone, right, and you can't find it in your house, you just go to the computer and be like, where is it? Have you
I
done
cannot-
that?
Oh, I asked Alexa.
Oh yeah. No,
You
I just
call
tell
me.
it to I just go, I'm like, please help me find my phone. My phone will start ringing in the house until
Yeah.
I find it. Like that's amazing.
Yep.
I have mine set up so it beeps when I look for the phone.
Okay.
Mine is I look for the phone with my watch.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
that's
I
cool.
cannot tell you how many times I use it. It's really kind of embarrassing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I look for
I
my
lose
phone by
mine,
having
though.
somebody else call me, like who's in
Yeah.
the house. My son would lose his phone in the house, but he always had his ringer off.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
you couldn't call it to find it. And unless he had his watch, he couldn't find his phone.
I lost one once. I thought I was being clever because I have reading glasses and I have driving glasses, and I was driving. Actually, my daughter was driving, and I took a photograph of the tire pressures to fill to sort the tires out at the garage, so that I could enlarge it and still read it with my driving glasses on. So I read it, and while the pump was going, I thought, quick, I better get the air in the tires. So I quickly put the air in the tires, went round the car, and then got in the car and drove off. And after about a mile and a half, there was it looked like litter went across the bonnet of the car.
Oh no.
We were near a rubbish tip. I thought some litter had blown across. And then I realised, and Emily was she'd passed a test and she was getting to like some practice in driving on a Sunday morning. So we went for this drive, and then at the other end, I realised what it was that had fell off. So we drove back and parked up, and we went up and down this road. And I found the case, and I never found the phone. It's like it bounced out of the case and down a grid or something.
Oh no.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't much later, and if anybody did pick it up, they didn't do anything with it. It was either completely broken or it went down a grid.
Yeah.
I killed a phone once by leaving it in my pocket and throwing it in the laundry and not realizing until I started it.
Oh my.
I killed one in my back pocket because I fell down the steps and it shattered my phone in my back.
Ouch.
I'm happy you're okay though. Thanks for
Thanks,
living.
babe. I wasn't for a while. I was quite bruised up.
But at least you're okay now.
Yeah, well, you
Hey,
know,
Liz.
okay is a relative term. Hey, Liz.
Thinks she's on the road.
Hello.
So she came
I
and
have to
visited
go.
me in Vegas. It was very much fun.
I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah, it's late. Thanks for
Okay.
coming, Annie.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Annie.
Very
Yeah.
tired. I know, but I kept saying no, and I really kind of want to be here, but it's just like last
I know
week
the
was
time is hard.
I was asleep by 10 last
It's
week.
always good when one of our Brits comes on.
That would be
Yeah.
2 hours ago. 3 hours ago now. 2 hours before you started, I was asleep.
Oh.
Oh, thanks so
Well,
much.
thank you for
I'm going to
coming.
bed. Yeah, about 11, but this starts at 12. Yeah. Okie doke then. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Have
It was
fun.
nice to have met you.
Yeah, yeah.
Liz, you can retitle this episode to Lost and Found as we talk about how we lost and found things.
Yeah,
think-
I probably
I think that's
should.
really important.
I lost a necklace the other day. I had a necklace that had the little jar with the mustard seed on it.
Mm.
And now I just have the cork. I
Oh,
said,
bummer.
yeah. So next Temu order I put in, I'll order another one because it was like $3. So you get
Yep.
what
I've seen some of those go for like $90, and I'm kind of like, okay, listen,
Oh, no.
sand and mustard seeds don't cost that much.
right. Exactly. I can get a whole jar of them for $4.
Make your own necklaces.
Yeah.
Right. No.
You can sell them for $90.
No, I've got some hats I need to knit for Christmas and for Neil for the magazine.
Mm.
But my deadline was later than I thought it was. So
Oh,
Yay me.
I need to take knitting back up for a thing that I said I would do for Neil, but I can't do the thing for Neil if I don't take up knitting again.
Wait, what? I'm
he
confused.
It's a
roped you in
conundrum.
finally, huh?
Well, I mean, at one point he was like, I found out that you are an editor. And I was like, how did you know? It's just on my Twitter profile and my intro and like
He's a
why,
shark.
yes. Grant, I'm more of like
It
a
is my day
content-
job.
Yeah, I'm more of like a content editor. Like if you want somebody that's like really particular about like punctuation, I can do it. It just takes me longer. There's some people whose brains just work better for that. So like at work, when I see a document that needs that, I'm like, hey, here, take this. So with content edits, I'm kind of like, hey, on page 5, this guy had brown hair, and now on page 10, he's got black hair. So like, which one is it?
Yeah, I've read some books recently that clearly could have used some editing, but they were self-published. So I'm figuring the author didn't.
That's
really
hard
have-
for indies. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, I always feel for indies because you want to have your book edited, right? But just like you want to have your book edited, editors need to like pay to keep the lights on, right? And unfortunately, like their invoice is based off of how big your book is. So like I was talking to one person who was thinking about hiring me, and they're like, well, what's your rate? And I was like, well, it's 2 cents a word. You know, and on the editing front, that's really cheap. That's like super cheap. And like I saw them do math, and they were like, it would cost me like $3,000 to like have you edit it. And I was like, man, I can save you $1,000 and tell you to probably cut like 100,000 words like right now, like But and so a lot of them are kind of like, well, screw it, I'm gonna just do it myself. And I'm kind of like, but could you at least use Grammarly or something like?
I am.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was just going to say I'm the one that always corrects everybody's way they spell certain words.
Me too.
Like,
we love that.
No,
we love that.
it's like no, it's THEIR.
Yep.
And oh, the big one out here, I think somebody in Southern California taught these people that the past tense of see, like I seen him go do that.
Oh no!
no,
I know what
that's
you're going to say.
Yeah, that's a thing
That's
that
my pet peeve right now.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, yes, me too. Like, no, you didn't seen him go do anything. You
Ugh.
saw him.
Infuriates me.
I said, you saw him or you have seen him.
Yep.
Now, I didn't do that well in English when I was in high school, but I had a teacher that beat it into my head. Correct word usage and how to spell and all that stuff.
What I had been reading was her and I. They kept phrasing things like, well, her and I need to do this. I'm like, no, it's not her and I. Please don't.
Yeah, I know. Like if something like becomes common enough, then they start working it into the regular vernacular. Like take ain't, for example. For the longest time, we said ain't isn't a word. Well, it's a word now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean, evolution of English. I mean, egg used to just be spelled as eg. Now it's ege or egg.
Not according to my mother. Ain't is not a word.
Well, I'm letting you know that in the dictionary, it's a word.
Growing up, we were not allowed to use ain't, and we were not allowed to use it at school either.
I mean, I'm not allowed to cuss either, but
well, the yours and the theirs and the scene can sometimes push me over the edge.
One that got me is when I moved to New Jersey, it was wash instead of wash.
I'm trying to think about what my pet peeve is.
What wash?
People.
Yeah,
People.
yeah, people.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my pet peeve. It's a content pet peeve. It's not a grammar pet peeve. But my pet peeve is when romance writers sit here and they talk about how lusciously beautiful like this main character is. Like she looks in the mirror and she's like, my luscious brown hair fell over, or like cascaded down my shoulder. My eyes were vibrant green. But then she looks in the mirror and she's like, I'm so ugly. Right. And I'm kind of like, now I understand if it's one book and that's a character flaw. That's fine. I get it. It's every fucking book. Okay. It's every one of them. And a lot of times it's the author who wants to make an attractive character, but they don't want to be seen as vain doing it. So what they do is they give them like a complex. And I'm like, you can have a female character that knows that she's a, bombastic looking lady, right? And walk and talk it. Like, I would like to see more of that. Break the mold. Stop being insecure. It's okay. But if
I love this one. My friend had sent me one time. It's really bad analogies written by high school students.
I'm ready.
Her eyes were like 2 round circles with the big black dots in the center. She was as tall as a 6'3" tree.
Okay.
Her face was a perfect oval, like a circle that had its 2 sides gently compressed by a pie master.
I'm not hating this. Go on.
From the attic came an unearthly howl. The whole scene had an eerie, surreal quality, like when you're on vacation in another city and Jeopardy comes on at 7 instead of 7:30. John and Mary had never met. They were like two hummingbirds who had also never met. She had a deep, throaty, genuine laugh, like that sound a dog makes just before it throws up. The ballerina rose gracefully on point and extended one slender leg behind her like a dog at a fire hydrant. He was as lame as a duck. Not the metaphorical lame duck either, but a real duck that actually was lame. Maybe from stepping on a landmine or something.
That kid's genius, right there.
Her vocabulary was bad as, like, whatever.
See, that's showing and telling. That's amazing. I love it.
She grew on him like she was a colony of E. coli and he was room temperature Canadian beef.
That's oddly specific.
Yeah.
All right. The revelation that his marriage of 30 years had disintegrated because of his wife's infidelity came as a rude shock, like a surcharge at a formerly surcharge-free ATM. And this is my favorite. The lamp just sat there like an inanimate object.
Imagine it.
It's like, wow. You wonder, are they sarcastic or serious? If they're sarcastic, then it's pretty funny. But if they're serious, it's pretty sad.
Sad. Scary. Yeah.
Well, creative writing's hard. And unfortunately, we beat it out of people at the age when they can develop it the most. And then as they get older, we're like, okay, be creative again. And they're like, I don't know how.
Yeah, I was reading a book, the sort of stereotypical thing with, do people who call eyes azure orbs. Your eyes are not an orb. They're not azure. Do not do that. Read a book, did it twice. And then I'm still to this day like, was that intentional? Was that a troll? Are you upsetting me on purpose? I don't know.
There's a.
She took it personally.
I'm trying to
I
think.
do. I do tend to take things personally.
There's a person in the writing space who I actually don't like. If you showed me a picture of this person, I would have like a reaction to it. But they did a video where they talked about like when you write something, don't write that they have shimmering orange orbs, right? And I was like, that's somebody who reads a lot of Bleach fan fiction, because that's how they always describe Ichigo's eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, so let me get this right. You're a traditionally published author picking on fanfic writers. You're disgusting. Like, leave those people alone. They're living their best life. You're not writing the content that they want, so they're making it themselves. Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you don't like it, don't read it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was
Stand
just
up
like,
for the Bleach fanfic writers specifically.
yeah.
Bleach is very popular right now.
Oh, hasn't the anime ended yet? No?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
I only know because my daughter has been writing articles about it. Spam risk. Goodbye.
I finished the story like years ago, and so I was expecting that the manga would catch up right after that, but they obviously had like their delays, and I'm like, oh, you're finally at that chapter. Well, I guess we'll be here for another 2 years. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I lost
Anime's
count.
different. For sure. But yeah, I thought you guys would like the lovely high school
That was
writing.
amazing. I loved it. It was very on point. I think those children have a bright future in literature. I'm just saying.
At least they tried.
I'm like serious. The lamp stood there like an inanimate object. That's perfect. Like, what the fuck is it?
I did see someone figured out the Warner Brothers film pitch for in the 1990s, where a screenwriter opens up a Mad Libs and says, "Oh, Bugs Bunny. Oh, Michael Jordan. Aliens. Theme park." And the studio was like, "Sure, let's make a movie about that." And we ended up with Space Jam. Like, it was the Mad Libs that did it.
Mm-hmm. I remember really liking that movie as a kid, but like as an adult, I refused to watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably the same for me. I watched the heck out of that tape. Like,
And I did see a Star Trek line that you can use to make people go away. It says, "I'd like to help you, but the Prime Directive forbids me from interfering in the affairs of lesser developed species."
I thought you were going to say the Worf one. You can test that assumption at your
Mhm.
leisure.
Yeah.
That's a fine line, though. That's a fine line. My husband's been rewatching all of it, and he offered to have me watch it with him, and I said I could. But he very quickly learned that I almost have every episode memorized, right? So, like, you know, we start watching like one, and I was like, "Oh, this is the one where so and so shows up," and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And like so and so shows up, and he's like, "Oh." So sometimes he watches them without me, and other times he'll wait for me. Like, obviously, if they have Q in them, he waits for me, right? Because I love Q. I love John Delancey.
Oh my gosh, I hate
love-
Q.
Re-
Q
I love
episodes are
John.
the
I love
worst.
Q.
I love
He
Q.
grows on you, though.
Worst every single time. Q shows up, like, why? Get
Because
off
he's-
the screen.
He's there to fuck up somebody's day, and he does it every
Such a
time.
lame plot
Because
device.
secretly
Oh,
Picard is bored with it all. He needs Q to liven things up.
There's this fantastic book. It's called IQ. It's actually the one that I had Mr. Delancey. Like, I stalked Mr. Delancey for a really long time. Okay, but I had him sign this book for
I
me.
understand the sentiment, but also hate Q. Please continue. Sorry.
Okay. But in IQ, that John or John, I can't. I'm tired. I'm sorry. Anyway, John, first name basis, like we're friends, right? Not because I can't say really, long names, but he co-wrote it, and one of the things that he wrote that was in there that I thought was really profound was that the continuum, actually, when they would go to war, they wouldn't do it for one of our reasons, right? They wouldn't do it for territory or anything like that, right? And when we talk about the Q continuum, they're not the only ones. There's the T continuum, there's the R continuum, like there's a whole alphabet, right? And they're all aware of each other, and they just stay out of each other's yard, right? But at one point, the R's showed up, and they were kind of like, "We've decided to declare war on you." And the Q's were like, "Okay, what's your reason?" And they were like, "We've decided that you're not worth existing. We have to wipe you out." And they're like, "Really? Like that's your reason?" They're like, "Okay, hold on." And they all got in a huddle, and they talked about it for a minute, and they came back. It's like, "We're going to war because we found out that your grandma wears spotted underwear." And they're like, "Fuck you!" And they went to fight, right? And they said that the reason they did that was because anytime a war is declared, it's done for like an inane, stupid actual reason. So what they do is they find inane, stupid reasons to fight, right? And so they'll fight for that cause, and then when they get tired, they go home, which is exactly what happened. These two continuums like fought for a while, and they're like, "I'm tired," and they just went home. Anyway,
There's no point in fighting after a while if you're just kind of endless.
yeah. Like, we're bored. We're going back now. Good times. See you at the potluck. Yeah.
And they're the superior beings in their minds.
They don't exist without an audience. That's the thing. If they can't perform for anybody, they don't know what to do. That's why it's like when they're not getting attention, if you watch anybody from the continuum show up, they start getting kind of antsy. It's like, "Look at me."
Is that why Q did all the crazy stuff he did?
Yeah. That's my nerddom. Thanks for entertaining me, guys. Thank you.
Aw.
My husband is not a big fan of Deep Space Nine.
Deep Sleep 9? Okay. Yeah.
Deep Space Nine. Sorry.
Sleep. Oh, it's not Sleep 9?
See, I liked Deep Space Nine because it was less about the, emergency battle this or the ship's broken down that. It was like more, more stability kind of. So you were more into the characters than just the situations.
Okay,
But-
I've said this before that I didn't watch it the way through because it was at a weird time slot, but my brother and I are watching it together. We are having the time of our lives. Like, it is incredible. I love each and every one of those losers.
Well,
it's fantastic.
when they had the Tribbles episode,
Oh, that one was good.
Loved it. Loved it.
See, okay, there's a couple episodes. It's okay with Next Gen and the original series. That's
Mhm.
like, okay, it's the ones that were always on TV, and not when you're watching marathon version where they actually go through the whole series, which I also
Mhm.
did. But it's like if you're just like tuning in on a Saturday night and there happens to be some Star Trek, it's going to be these episodes, okay? We're
Mhm.
going to go to Tribbles. We're going to do Space Apollo. We're going to do Charlie X. If you're lucky, you'll get Space Gangsters. And I'm crossing your fingers for Space Gangsters every single time.
And
But
Khan.
Khan didn't come up so much for that one.
Really?
Yeah, anyways, but then you have Next Gen, and
Mm.
in my watch through, I've hit Next Gen. I'm like, yeah, Riker. So it's like, you're such a bimbo. Oh my goodness. He's like, computer, make me a beautiful woman. No, make her hotter. Make her even hotter. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm falling in love with this robot. Like, Riker, what are you doing? But anyways, that going through there, I'm like, okay, the episodes I always saw of Next Generation, Lore and Data, you know, the Mickey Spillane, whatever, you know, going through, I'm like, okay, I remember this one, and then every once in a while I'm like, oh, I haven't seen you actually. This is amazing. New material? What?
Have you ever seen the show that Seth MacFarlane put out?
Oh, the Orville.
Yes.
I've
We
seen
really
some of the
liked that.
episodes.
We were sad that it went away.
It started off as a joke, and then like when Star Trek started to decline, it got better, and it was like, no, this is not how it should happen.
Okay, Anne's gonna get mad at me, but I'm gonna put this out there. My favorite Star Trek movie is Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest is great.
Yeah.
It's the best Star Trek movie because it encompasses all the Star Trek themes and everything, but it's all humor.
Yeah.
It's a good film.
And it has Alan Rickman having to wear that silly costume. You know, it's always a plus.
With the head coming off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, we enjoyed that one too. Anything space, except we didn't get into Star Wars too much, but anything space we'll watch.
Yeah.
We just
Firefly.
Yeah,
I like
Oh, I
Firefly.
know.
Space Western all the way. It's so
Mhm.
good. I love
Lots of-
Space Western so much that I'm like kind of semi-writing one. One day it will come out in the world. I don't know when, but I really love it. Like, I love space.
Firefly was Fox's biggest mistake.
And like like here's the thing with Fox. Like if it wasn't Buffy, they let you have one season. They're like, that was nice, get out, right? Like they did that all the time. Like when they canceled Firefly, they actually had a party. The cast got together and had a party about it, and like the banner that they had in the room was like, "We're free from Fox."
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really wish somebody would have picked that up, but too late now.
They continued it on in a comic for a while to give like the fans
yeah?
like closure
Mhm.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had a movie too that
Yeah.
explained-
Serenity.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Yeah.
what
So
was it
they
explained. I can't remember.
well, so they kind of closed like what the big like plot of like that first season was going to be. That's what they
Mhm.
did. So they came out with a comic that went right before that filled in the gaps of like, how did we get here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you start the Serenity, I'm really showing my nerd. I'm sorry, guys. But when you started Serenity, Shepard wasn't there anymore, right? And it wasn't really explained why Shepard wasn't there. It was just like he left. But the comic at least kind of explained what happened that made the crew fracture a little bit. And then they started a series that happened afterwards where they kind of finished like all the rest of the pending arc that they couldn't cover.
Okay.
You know, not that I would know anything about any of that or bought it or anything.
Incredibly knowledgeable, actually.
Uh-huh.
It's like me with like the Star Wars comics. Like I got really ticked off when they made all that stuff legend because like my favorite character that will never come to me now is Darth Talon, right?
Mhm.
Darth Talon was like this super hot, you know, Lethan Telic. And if you don't know what that means, that's okay. Don't worry about it. All right. This is just a me thing. But basically it was like this super sexy lady that knew how to use her looks as a weapon as much as weapons themselves, right? Like I was really into it. And she ended up like kind of getting together with like the descendant of Han Solo kind of thing. And that was hot. All right. It was good stuff. But then they made it legend. So it's like she doesn't exist. So now I don't get my badass bitch. I'm like, which I always thought it was weird because like in the world where like we need more badass bitches, you like literally threw out like the best one. Like that was it right there.
Yeah,
Well,
that
and
was
they
one of the things that got me between, Star Wars and Star Trek, that, the sort of base level of fandom. Because if you're like, I'm a fan of Star Wars, you're like, you've seen the movies. You're like, okay. And if you're like if you're more of a fan of Star Wars, you've played the video games. And if you're a super fan of Star Wars, you've read extended books and you have all this thing and, comics and novels and the rest of it. And the sort of level for fandom of Star Trek was, it's like, if you're like, hey, I'm a fan, you're like, okay, you've seen some of the shows. And if you're like, no, I'm a fan, it's like, okay, you've probably seen most of one of the series. But then further, like, no, I'm a super fan. You're like, oh, okay, you've seen all the shows, right? And then
That's
further,
my
it's like,
husband.
no, if you've seen all the shows, and I don't even know if you can read all the books, man. There's so many. And it's like, no, comics, and no this, and it's like, no, I'm sitting here and I'm quoting, micro differences and the fins of the starships, and I know the trade regulations on
That's
this
my
planet. And, it's the down the line thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's my kid. He knows all that stuff.
But yeah, that it seemed that sort of the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek fandom is that it's much easier to be into Star Wars.
I may or may not have over 300 digital Star Wars books
That's okay.
that I got for my son at one point.
Well, my son has a friend who did the ultimate Star Wars fandom thing. He was born on May the 4th.
Oh wow!
Accidentally a fan. Like just it was
right?
destiny.
Oh,
Destiny.
Has so many figures and yeah.
It was meant to be.
Yep. So when he told me what his birthday was, I was like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me.
He was happy about it.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
you can knit Star Wars patterns. You just can't call them Star Wars patterns.
Right.
Baby alien hat.
I've made one of those before.
Well,
You don't
I
wanna-
found I'm sorry, go ahead.
You don't want to step on somebody's intellectual property. Unless you do. In which case, go for it. As long as you're not selling them and mass producing them.
A lot of
think-
people's intellectual property.
It really depends on like how hard they want to hold on to stuff like that. So I don't know if you guys. So talking about how Legos lost their patent, I can't remember which studio lost it, but the term superhero is no longer copywritten anymore. Because
I heard that. Yeah.
yeah, which was great news for us because we couldn't call them superheroes, right? We had to call them comic heroes or something like that, or otherwise like they would come after us and stuff like that. But the judge ruled that that this is such a common utilized term that you don't get to own it anymore, right? Which
Nice.
I was waiting for that to happen because not that I would ask you to venture into this genre or anything else like that. I would actually tell you to stay away from it. But there's a genre of books, and they're called Omegaverse. And it's basically guys who are kind of like werewolves, but they're not. And women go into heat. So I've just summarized the entire universe for you like that.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of the authors in this space, well, actually, all the authors in this space are of a certain church that starts with an M, and that's all I'm going to say. But they've also have like a particular idea of what they get to say that is theirs and not theirs. So one lady tried to sue another lady because she tried to say that alpha and omega were her words and that other authors couldn't use them. And so she tried to send her lawyer after them. So that went to court. There was some time and money put into this. And the judge was like, you can't use scientific terms and copyright them into your book. Like you just can't. Right.
Or biblical terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
Greek letters.
They could try. But then I think somebody else, and this was I can't remember the name of this author. You guys are going to quickly learn that if I really don't like you, I forget your name. Like it's just like I can't remember that person's
You
name.
guys
It's
got
like,
some space up in here? No.
yeah, it's just gone. It's kind of like, It was one author who went after another really nice lady, like a charming lady. On YouTube, she goes by the name of Heart Breathing. She makes planner videos and she talks about being your better self and how to write books. And if you want to watch some wholesome vlogs, like go there. She's got lots of wholesome vlogs. My favorite is when, in order for her to write, she has to cover her desk in like sparkly rocks. Okay, like
Sparkle, sparkle.
yeah, I'm into the sparkle, right? But somebody tried to sue Heart Breathings because when she made her video about, how to be organized as a writer, which I was totally into, I was like, yeah, show me your secrets, right? She did things like talk about outlining with cue cards and Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 structure. These are really common basic things. And I'm not saying that against Heart Breathings. I'm saying that because the other author tried to sue her for using those things in her video, right?
No.
Yeah. And so they went to court, and the judge also was kind of like, you don't own any of this. Like, this is very like public domain knowledge. And she was like, well, I feel like she took it from me. And he was like, no, get out.
I feel like you took it from someone else first. But
I have trouble with people copywriting words. You can't say this word because I own it. No.
It's such a weird power play. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it only works if you know how to do it. Oh yeah.
Well, that's like when the Woolery came after
Hold it up.
Leanne of Forbidden Woolery.
Yeah, you told me about that.
I mean, she had been in business at the point. She had been in business for. That's nice.
Sorry.
Open up again.
The Woolery had been in business for a long time.
No,
Mm-hmm.
Leanne had been dyeing yarn for 8 or 9 years at that point, and they sent her a cease and desist. You cannot use the word Woolery because that's our name.
But it's a type of business. A woolery is a type of thing.
It's a thing. It's a thing in everyday knitters' lives, or spinners or whatever, sheep people, And she fought it for a little while, and then she was just like, you know what? I'm just going to change the name because I don't want to spend, thousands and thousands of dollars to fight these people.
Right.
So she changed it to Forbidden Fibers, and she's doing very well. But it was just crazy. Like, that's one word that you don't own that word.
Yeah, words are kind of words.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done, by the way. I'm done.
Oh,
Yay.
adorable.
Yeah, it's another succulent.
But it could also be a rose. I'm gonna go put it on the wall now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I love reading about the copyright battles with all these people in the knitting world. Like, you stole this from me. It's like, no, honey, your grandmother was knitting this or crocheting the same thing in the 70s. You saw the pattern and you recreated it, and someone else did the same thing. They didn't steal it from you.
Right.
Granny squares are granny squares.
Yeah. There's very little that is new.
Right.
I don't like the ones who take paid patterns and then make their own tutorial of them and put them out there free.
Yeah, that's not cool.
That I don't like. Because, that's somebody else. It's a for sale pattern. If it's a free pattern, then go for it, but not a for sale pattern.
Or at least, tell the person, say, hey, do you mind if I do this?
Mm-hmm.
But all the copyright, I own this, you don't own this. No, you do not own the technique. You only own your written version of it. But
I don't know.
It's like, how many people have created plain raglan sweaters out there? You don't own them.
Well, have you seen the new sweater from Knit California?
I don't
Which
know.
one is that one?
It's called I think it's called the California sweater, and I think the pattern was like $8 or something. And I looked at it; it just looks like a plain sweater to me.
Yeah, I see that a lot. People post a raglan sweater, top down, raglan,
Yeah.
And they're charging, it's like, dude, you can get that anywhere.
Yeah.
Here it is, California sweater. Wow, okay. Yeah.
I mean, unless you're doing it in a new technique, like if you're doing if the construction's, got some trick to it
Yeah.
or something.
No, this is basic. It looks
Yeah.
like
I mean, and
That's just a drop shoulder.
yeah.
pull over, perfect.
Nothing against her, good luck if you can get people to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's just shocking to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't charge that much because
Mm-hmm.
there's always, same people who say dyers and designers deserve to be paid a living wage also don't want to pay more than a certain amount of money for patterns. So, or a skein of yarn. So it's like, they're all, oh, you deserve to pay a living wage, but, don't charge me more than $7.
Well,
Right.
I told my son about like Stephen West. I said, oh, if you become, a known designer, you look up one of his patterns and he sold several thousand of them. So, I mean, that's a nice little chunk of change.
And here's the thing with him, I don't mind paying a little more for his patterns because they
Right.
almost always have a video tutorial with them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're usually completely easy to understand, very well written. And I
Mhm.
figure paying a little extra for that video
Mhm.
is worth it to me.
Yeah.
Right.
I buy his patterns. The last pattern I bought that wasn't his was Sweater Freak. She did that. I did that mosaic shawl of hers.
That was so pretty.
And I didn't mind because that was number one. It was a technique I had never done. And I wanted to make that shawl. And it was unique. I hadn't seen, I'm sure there are mosaic out there, but I hadn't seen any and I wanted to do it. So, but don't charge me $10 for, a top down raglan,
Mhm.
No, I mean, I've
or a
paid,
basic sock pattern or
yeah. I mean, I've paid more than that for a pattern that'll have 3 different necklines and or 4 different
Right.
links or, where you can really just customize it a lot.
Yeah.
Then the designer's gone to an awful lot of
yes.
work to do all that math and everything. So
Right.
to me, that's worth it. But, yeah. And it just cracks me up because they always talk about how test netting is unpaid labor. It's like, no, it's not unpaid labor. It's volunteer labor. There's a difference. Nobody's putting a gun to anyone's head and making them test knit. They volunteer.
Right.
Yeah, there's
So-
a thing in literature called a beta reader. The beta readers
Right.
usually don't get paid either. So
Yeah.
it's just part of the process.
Exactly. But, they're like, oh, test knitters don't get paid and they're supposed to have so many number of followers. I don't care how many followers my test knitters have. I don't care what yarn they use. You want to use acrylic or cheap yarn, go for it. Because then I know if my pattern works in that kind of yarn. So make it in whatever you would make it in.
Right.
But it's a volunteer thing for most parts. I mean, nobody's being forced to test knit.
Mm-mm.
If they choose to, then that's their choice. But it's not unpaid labor; it's volunteer labor. There's that concept doesn't get into some people's heads, and it's like,
Well, there's still some people who are, and we talked about them earlier, that are of the mindset that everything has to be fair, everything has to be equal, they have to be an ally to everybody, whether they volunteered or not. They should still be getting living.
well, and I get the ones that only want testers who have thousands of followers, and they demand that they post pictures and that kind of thing.
Right.
But but on the same token, the person doesn't have to agree to participate if those are the requirements either. So,
Well, I feel like the payment is getting the pattern.
Pattern, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
If they're asking for certain amounts of followers and they want them to post pictures, they're asking for free marketing.
well, yeah,
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
but it's upfront though, is the thing. I mean,
Yeah, you know
It's
that
a-
ahead of time. Sure.
it's not like you find out later on that, oh, now I have to do pictures or whatever. Kids me are the ones who charge their test knitters for the pattern if they don't finish.
Yeah.
And it's like,
No, that's
bizarre.
messed up. Yeah, no, okay, so like I hate like every time you mention something, it's like, okay, so like in the book industry, this is a related thing.
No, it's
so
fine.
like
No,
so
it's fine.
yeah, and so in literature, we have a thing, it's called an ARC reader, and it's basically when we send a free book to somebody with the promise that they're going to give a free and honest review, right?
I've gotten a couple of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes, those are honest, and sometimes they're just going to say they liked it because they want the publisher to keep giving them free books. That's totally a thing that happens. But it's always kind of it's a little tricky because when you reach out to an ARC reader, some people don't verify like if that person is like their genre reader. So like if you have somebody that likes to read smut stuff, right? You don't probably want to send them a science fiction novel, just,
Right.
or
They're
at
gonna
least
be like, nice, was missing something. You see,
Yeah.
there should be a little something going on here.
Yeah, I'm thinking like the alien and the astronaut can like get it on. Like that would really do it for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Right there on the main console. I'm picturing, and they're like, whoa.
Yeah. That would be some interesting feedback. Or, they have signups as well. So like there's one author who I follow, and every time she opens up her ARC reader, she has like a Google form. And she's like, do you want to be an ARC reader? Right. And she's even honest on there. She's like, for the sake of getting my book's word out there, I'm going to pick the people that have like a little further reach. But that means that doesn't mean I'm going to exclude you. It's just who gets it first.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so wait, so sorry, you said it and I heard you and I comprehended it, but I'm still like, so you send a test pattern to somebody, they don't finish it. How do you make them pay?
Because I guess sometimes they make them. It's just something I've heard recently, but they'll have them pay up front, or they'll send them emails. Hey, you owe me for this pattern. You owe me for this pattern, and then some of them they don't get paid. They dox them, which was
I've been
insane.
seeing that, and it's heinous.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
I value my test knitters. I want them to tell me when I make mistakes. I appreciate their time and effort, and I'm very thrilled that they take their time to knit my patterns. If they finish it, they finish it. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't, but that's life.
It's like Neil James.
Yeah.
I've
we don't always do things on time for Neil,
tested
do
some
we?
things for him, and I am brutally honest with him. He will tell you, like, dude, this cross stitch has too many quarter stitches. Knock it off.
Yeah. At least with Neil, we can slack off on being on time.
Yeah, he's cool.
Doesn't jump down our throats. But yeah, I
love Neil.
I get it. It's a parasocial relationship, and some people test knit or test crochet because they want to be close to the celebrity as they see them, designer or whatever. And that's their choice, though. No one's making them do it. It's like you're not being held captive and forced to knit someone's pattern for them. They put out a test call and you volunteer. Like, right. I don't understand this whole test knitters deserve to be paid.
Okay. I used to test knit for a couple designers who are probably glad I don't test knit for them anymore, based on ideology. But I never got any compensation. I just got the pattern.
Yeah.
And I would give them feedback, yeah, everything was great, or there's this and that. But I wasn't paid for it. I don't know.
Yeah, with Caro talking about the difference in test readers and test knitters. I don't know. I'm always kind of fascinated about how different groups, and I guess you could say different industries in a broad sense, kind of do these different things. Because, like, for example, we just did the virtual trunk show thing, and we were, not me because I couldn't make it, but it's kind of a QVC, like all these different shops come to, and it's because the relationship, you could almost say, I don't know, that it's because the knitting world is a cottage industry world primarily, and while you buy things from kind of larger, like Cascade or whatever, larger yarn companies, but you also have the indie world versus the indie book thing, where it's like people aren't making the paper themselves, sort of a deal. Like they're, it's like how they publish indie through Amazon versus indie small publishing houses or bigger public, like the relationship between them and their readers is different. And anyways, I think those are interesting to compare and contrast and to see what works and what doesn't. That I'm like, sorry, the trunk show thing that I'm like, you have all of these sort of Iron Age indie author blog things, and I'm like, y'all should do a book fair. That'd be awesome. Or like our knit along things, and we're doing a bingo right now. It's like, but y'all don't do that in book world.
Oh no, we do.
Or I guess you.
Yeah, no, sorry. So we have read-alongs, we have write-alongs, we have bingo, we have all kinds of things, and it really depends on who's the loudest at the time. So on AuthorTube, because that's what it's called, I don't spend any time there. I used to try and be more involved with AuthorTube, but there's like just like you guys have like your stuff that goes on, and I don't know, what do you call it? YarnTube, KnitTube? Like, does it have a nickname?
Maybe
I know Cross Stitch has FlossTube.
FlossTube? Okay, we'll call it FlossTube. So just like FlossTube, like, you know how you guys have like your pucks back and forth kind of thing. It's just as bad in the AuthorTube area. And what happens is you have, just like you guys have experienced, there's very interesting people that what they do is they worm their way in and then try to control each other. So I can't even make this up. I had a friend who I'm still friends with. I'll preface that. And they had a falling out with somebody who tried to blackmail them for not being black enough, right? And they were both authors on AuthorTube. And then on top of that happening, this person that tried to blackmail my friend basically started to pretend to be my friend online. Yeah, no, it was weird. It was like some weird reverse white woman movie stuff that was going on. Like, I was completely confuzzled by it. And part of the reason I ended up like not wanting to hang out anymore is because when like this big rift started going on within the community, I was kind of like, oh man, you know what? This pendulum is way up here. And when it comes back down, I don't want to be anywhere near this catastrophe. So I quietly exited out, and I actually picked up my job over at Rippaverse at the time. So I was like, that was handy, right?
Hey.
Yeah. But it's when we're talking about like the beta readers and stuff like that, I'm not fully educated on how it is when you guys are doing pattern testing and stuff like that. But when I have a book, and I don't ask for beta readers very often because the time commitment for reading, it depends. And I don't write small books. I usually write probably 600-page books, right? So when I send something to somebody, I ask them to read in 3 chapter chunks. And I ask like key questions like, what did you like in this chapter? What do you think needed to go? Was there a point that you didn't want to read anymore? And then I have like a general other feedback kind of thing. And the reason I do it in 3 chapter chunks is because if I ask somebody to read something in 3 chapters, it's a lot easier. And then at some point, it's easier for them to be kind of like, I'm not feeling this book. And I'll be like, cool, that's a different conversation. Why do you not feel this book right now? Right. And sometimes that feedback can be really brutal. And sometimes I get invited to a writing group every now and then. I always have to warn that facilitator, like if you've got new people there, you have to warn them about me. Because if you don't like what I have to say as somebody who works in an editor, you're really not going to like what a reader who doesn't give 2 shits about your feelings is going to say about your book. Right. So at one point I was editing somebody's book. And I think we got to chapter 3 and I was like, okay, I'm checking out now. And he's like, but I'm not done. I was like, you're not done, but I'm done. Right. Like, I don't want to read anymore. I'm finished. And he's like, okay, well, the story really starts in chapter 4. It's like, then that's where your story needs to start. This 3 chapter previous, gibberish that you did is for you. It's not for me.
Right.
And sometimes when readers go into beta reading circles like that, they're not ready for that. And there's another AuthorTuber. I have so much tea on AuthorTube. You guys have no idea. But there's another AuthorTuber who has a very popular channel. But when they open up for beta readers, they will only keep the people that will say they like the work, and the people who criticize or tell them how to improve it, they get removed from the beta feeding circle, right?
And then what good is it?
The purpose is being told that you wrote something great, and anybody who says otherwise, well, you know what? They're just haters. They're just envious of you and your channel.
To be fair,
they
there
don't
are
understand.
designers who do the same thing, who ignore what the test knitters tell them. They just want to hear how great their pattern is.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's my simplified version of how beta reading in the indie space looks like. There was one lady at a romance publisher house that I worked with, and I asked them to consider having their story beta read, and she did not take it well at all. She let the readers read it, but like she did not like the reader feedback, and she just immediately said, "I don't want this to happen again." I was like your shit's gonna go up on Goodreads. And
Nice.
sure enough, like, you know, her book went out and Goodreads was like, this is a terrible book. It should never have been published. And I was sitting here like, we could have fixed it. I'm just saying. We had a whole 6 months. I could have rewritten all of it. Yeah.
She could have faked her own death. I mean,
So, yep.
it happens in the knitting world
Right.
more than once, sadly.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've had anything like that in AuthorTube. We have stalkers. Like the stalker game in AuthorTube is like wild, like mentally unwell women that just get latched onto like other personalities and feel like, you know, they're owed something from that person. It's like, well, I've been watching your channel for a whole 5 minutes. You're my best friend now. It's like, oh,
I did see the
no.
one where the author was writing negative reviews on the other new authors who were up for the same award as her or something, and then she didn't get her book published.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened there? I know what you're talking about. What happened there is she actually had her fans go and bomb the book. And then it was found out that she had her fans come and bomb the book, right? So it's called review bombing. I think you guys have probably heard that term before. And it's a really vicious thing that happens, especially on Goodreads. It's a little harder to do on Amazon because Amazon's very particular about who gets to leave reviews. So if you haven't actually bought the product, they won't let you read a review. And the only loophole for that is if you get it as an ARC read, right? And usually they have to say in the top, this book was given to me for a free and honest review. And Amazon's like, okay, you can stay. But otherwise, if a stranger who's never bought your book before tries to leave a review on it, they're like, nah, not going to happen. Goodreads, though, I had a guy who, on my first book, he didn't even read all of it. Let me find the book. I've got it right here. Not that I'm trying to sell my book on your channel or anything. But like on my first, so like on my first book, Queen of Swords and Silence, right? I have a kind of startling first chapter. It was on purpose. Okay, I did it for a reason. But this gentle soul read the first chapter and just immediately assumed how the rest of the book was going to go. And the review, as I recall it, and I don't have it memorized, but I remember the gist of it, was just kind of like, this character goes and eats people and takes their friends and they go on a rampage and they kill everyone and nobody stops them. I'm like, that's not what happened in the book at all. Like that's absolutely not what happened. It's like, you can't convince me otherwise. I was like, I can by telling you to read it. Have you read
Right.
it?
If you see more words, you will understand and be convinced.
Yeah. So do you guys have to worry about like review bombing on patterns at all? Now that I'm kind of
Yeah, that's what Reddit's for.
Reddit does that?
Oh yeah.
So like not even okay, so I guess Goodreads is technically not an official site linked to.
I mean, they'll do it on your posts and when you post patterns, and can they do reviews on Ravelry? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know they'll go after you on Reddit.
I mean, when DK had the whole thing with Ravelry, there were people leaving notes on her stuff and flagging her and saying things that weren't, part of anything else.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, they'll go after you just if you knit something that's beige.
There's not as much of a direct review system.
Yeah. Okay. No, I follow. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah.
But there's plenty of crazy involved.
Oh.
Yeah.
I pretty much go to Ravelry for free patterns, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I go to Ravelry when Anne sends me a link there because then I feel like it's a trustworthy source.
When
I
did
think you
send
sent me one. I think you sent me one. No, was it you? Somebody sent me a link to Ravelry. It was somebody on the screen. Obviously not Mama Neva because
it might have been me. Was it a skull?
One of us.
It might have been.
If it skull sounds familiar. Yeah.
Then it was probably me.
I will go to Ravelry if it comes from a trustworthy source, but I don't go there in general. So ever since that first time I came on, you guys were kind of like, let's tell you about the knitting world. And I was like, what's happening?
They're crazy.
They're
crazy.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's interesting now. The tone is so different than it was.
Yeah.
There's still the crazy ones who don't want to associate with the likes of us, but then there's also people who are like, well, yeah, we don't care.
I think people are getting tired of it. I'm waiting for the kickback, and I won't talk too much longer because I know I've derailed us a few times. But I'm waiting for the kickback in romance novels because, like, for those of you who are not aware, romance writing is a very liberal leaning industry. And so if you're like conservative or anything else like that, you kind of get like, swept under the rug, and they're kind of like, oh, good job. And then they like forget about you kind of thing. Unless you write a really outrageous story. I'll have to find it. But the kickback I'm waiting for is obviously the Blues have spent so much time telling the Reds to fuck off that there's been a lot of disgruntlement. And so like I've been feeling like the subtle rumbles of those have been neglected and ostracized, like starting to rise back up. And it's going to be interesting because now they're all connecting with each other, right? So when you have a group that was forced into isolation start to reconnect, that can be kind of rippling. So I'm very the sociologist in me is just kind of like, I can't wait. Like, what are you gonna?
I can't wait for the conservative bodice ripper romance magazine. And I want this to be published, and I want this on newsstands.
I gotta find the outrageous one I'm telling you about, because it was something about like liberal, conflicts with MAGA hat wear or something like that. Give me a minute. It's gonna take me a minute.
Yeah, I kind of knew there was a change in things happening because when there were so many actual Trump patterns that stayed on Ravelry in the last 6 months. I mean, a lot of them people called out, but there were a lot of them on there, surprisingly. And that kind of told me that people aren't quite as afraid anymore.
The times they are a changing.
To be fair, for every Trump pattern, there was an unusual anatomical pattern that God knows why anybody would want.
Yeah.
But, if people, that's their thing. But yeah, I think it's been a change. And
Sorry.
I think some of the people tearing their hair out and screaming to the void are going to find out that nobody cares. And, no one's going to be begged back to be in their orbit or begged back to buy their product or, when you tell people to go away, they're going to go away.
Yep.
Well, and also, I mean, you have this growing counterculture too, where the counterculture is the cool kids, and it is the cool kids, and it's going to leave the old culture behind. And a lot of people are going to find they get left, and it makes me a little tiny bit sad because after all, there's nothing to ruin something you like than to make it the cool kids. But still, it's progress. We're winning. We're going places. But yeah, the switch is happening, and I mean that it happened within conservatism itself. There's a lot of old commentators that thought they were the guy. Then Trump came along and, you're not the guy anymore, buddy. And nobody listens to you. But yeah, you find this now that's like, I'm sorry, the Trump people are the cool people. They're the people who are getting stuff done. And
I just read a thing where it said the DNC are distancing themselves from the really, really far left progressives because they don't want to be seen as the party of freaks.
Good. Too little, too late. I think that it's heartening.
It's that shift in mindset.
All these crazy teachers who are coming out and doing these insane rants and stuff and going after their students are actually getting called to the carpet and fired, where 8 years ago it was allowed.
There was one
close
by me.
1 year ago. Yeah.
There was one close by me out in Paris, California, where the teacher was recorded saying all kind of stuff.
I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And he got dismissed, but the kids are like trying to rally behind him. Like, had him brainwashed, did you?
Well, my theory is unless you're teaching AP government, your students should never know what your political leanings are.
Yep.
Because it's not necessary. And if a teacher's putting their political leanings out there, that's wrong. They're supposed to be teaching history or whatever other subject.
Right.
Like now we have politics and math problems. Like We
We've had
just have math
problems.
problems about
What?
watermelons. Come on, like they used to.
But also, sorry, I just flipped over and looked at this MAGA hat romance.
They took the description down. I was going to offer to read it because I had screenshot it and sent it to somebody. If you want me to read it out loud,
Please.
Is that
Okay.
the
Sure.
is that the attachment you just put in chat?
It is, and it looks
Okay.
like whoever the author is, I think they had their book slapped by Amazon because the cover and everything's changed. But fortunately for me, when I put something on the internet, I can still find it, right? All right, so this was the blurb for the book. So when Patriot Mike rescues feminist Ricky from the post-Trump rally riot, the clash of opposition sets sparks between them. But the gentleman giant refuses to leave the side of the spunky half-pink until he and his pickup truck deliver her home safe and sound. Ricky attends the rally to scope the racism of the Trump crowd in the blog post, but she's forced to spin a false narrative when she's mistakenly assumes and fails to materialize. When Ricky's lies gets Mike doxxed and his construction worksite becomes the target of anti-feminist thugs, his righteous anger forces her to reckon with the truth. Ricky wants to fix the damage and regain Mike's trust, but that means facing the wrath of the liberal mobs. Will Ricky find the courage to leave the left behind for a lifetime of old-fashioned true love? So this was the summary of the book that's no longer on.
Sounds like a Hallmark movie gone bad.
Oh. But like the reviews of this book were quite outstanding. But AI decided to save me some time and summarize what people were saying about this book. So first off, this book out of 193 ratings has 2 stars. That's pretty special, right?
It's difficult to get that.
Yeah, with 75% having 1 star, right? And then like a couple of people put 5 star because they're like, this is amazing, right? But AI basically said customers found the writing quality atrocious and oblivious. Writers' opinions are mixed on the plot, with some finding it entertaining and interesting, while others say it's stupid and a nonsense story. I almost wish I had bought it because now it's gone.
Well,
You need to save one for history's sake, right there. You're like, there was a moment in time
When this happened.
Internet
this
Archive,
Yeah, somebody
Wayback
said it's so
Machine.
bad it's good.
Wayback Machine. Yeah, I mean that's like the old B horror movies that were just so bad they're entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope Pardo writes a sequel. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so the author, her name is called Liberty Adams. And it looks like most of her books are taken down. I wonder if they've got a website.
People
It's
should be allowed to write stupid books and let the free market decide whether or not they want to buy them.
I
Yep.
want to talk to this woman.
Yeah, let's talk to her. How do you know it's a woman, Anne?
It's true. It
She
could be
might not know if she's a woman.
She
That could
doesn't
be its
identify
own
how we
romance
want.
novel. I want to be a buff dude writing about finding love with blue-haired liberal women. He's gonna treat him right, okay?
Did you guys? I had somebody ask me if I would make them a kitty hat. I said no. And then I had somebody else that wanted me to make him Bernie gloves.
Oh yeah.
Said nope.
Oh
And
yeah.
I just told him, I said, I don't like him. I'm not going to make those.
Mhm.
And he went, oh.
I had made
He's
my
shocked.
daughter a kitty hat years before.
Mm-hmm.
That was such a debacle. It cracked me up because 90% of the women wearing them didn't make them themselves, and it's like, really,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you're going to go to the whole point of travel to go to this march, the least thing you can do is learn a craft and make your own
Right.
dang, you know.
Right. Yeah.
I'm probably going to have to go soon. It's getting close
Yeah.
to my bedtime.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I need to eat dinner too. So
Yeah, me too.
I'm sorry I'm the party pooper, guys. I'm sorry.
no.
No.
Yeah,
Fine.
Debbie loves
You're
yarn.
the
I
voice
saw
of
that.
reason.
I saw that AOC took her pronouns out of her profile, which
Ooh.
I did see that. I saw that a couple of days ago.
yeah.
I'm wondering if she's going to start getting slapped down now. I'm
I-
hoping.
I've noticed. Okay, I said I was going to shut up. I'm not going to shut up. I'm
It's
sorry.
low hanging fruit, really.
Evidently, she met with Trump. He was in New
well,
York.
I think what happened because the squad's gone, right? Because when she had the squad, her behavior was different. But when that got broken up, like it wasn't as rambunctious. I don't
There's
know.
a new squad now.
Ilhan's still there, though.
Yeah, but it's so astroturfed. Like the squad. I mean, I guess you have to be a very particular type of person to be a, politics fangirl, which I guess.
Well, the Democratic Socialists stopped supporting her because she wasn't socialist enough. So they stopped funding her. So, I don't know. I heard she's pregnant.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
So, maybe she actually wants a better world for her kid. Who knows? So we'll just have to see what happens. Hopefully we won't get into World War III. It'd be nice if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
War bad.
More bad. More knitting good. Everybody have a good week.
Yep.
Gonna get off.
Thanks for coming on, Joan. We appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much for
Annie
inviting me.
and Anne and Caro for coming on.
Oh, sparkle, sparkle.
I really appreciate the invitation, and anytime you need somebody, give me a call.
You're welcome anytime.
Yeah.
Any given Monday.
Do you use the same thing?
No, I send a new link every week because I may be going to a different streaming thing because StreamYard is really increasing their prices.
I heard that.
For next year. A lot. Like $400 a year.
What?
Yeah. If you want more than the basic.
That's outrageous.
Yeah.
So, but I found another one that does everything that StreamYard does that doesn't cost that much. So I want to try them out one week and see
Okay.
how it works.
Let me know.
Alrighty. Well, if you ever have a bunch of people that are going to be gone, send me a link.
Sure.
I'll be here.
Absolutely. We never know who's going to be on. It's always
We never know.
Will they or won't they? Will Neil grace us with his presence? Or is it a Knitting Wars week where we won't see him?
Knitting Wars tomorrow.
Yep.
That's why he's not here.
Same with Amy.
Yep. And anything new and exciting for Knitting Wars, Anne?
Not particularly. I feel like I haven't done a show in a while. I feel disconnected from my thing.
From your people.
But you're also fresh, so there's that.
I know.
Yeah. You and DK can
I had to call DK earlier just to hear the sound of her voice. We really are.
Go watch that. Go watch the Trunk Show.
It was good. I enjoyed it.
The best part was Birdie Rose's
video.
Oh my gosh.
That was hilarious. Somebody in the comments didn't get that it was a spoof. I don't think. I think someone in the comments took it seriously in the chat.
It was hilarious.
Yes, Birdie is hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Buy her stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. That was hilarious. And Neil was really good. He did do a good job.
He did a very good job.
He even dressed up. So, and we'll see how it goes. Joe will be on the 6th, so prepare for mayhem.
Might have some special guests.
Yep. Who knows? We don't know. We don't know. Maybe, possibly. Next week is Monday, and then how many more weeks are there this month? 2 more? 2 more Mondays?
I don't know.
I think. And then December. So.
2.
But go watch Knitting Wars tomorrow, and watch Mama Nevin's show, and Cabot Cove Knits might post soon. Shauna Stitches. 2 Sisters and Some Yarn might do one sometime if Denise can do it.
I am all excited. I'm closing in on 200 subscribers.
Awesome. That's good.
So I'm just trying.
Hey,
I,
just
I
put it
think it's the gumball machine they watch for now.
Might be.
whatever works.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I like it. So
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, everybody. We appreciate it.
Skies.
okay. Thank you.
Have a good
Bye,
one.
everybody.
Now I'm going to be sad because I can't read that romance novel. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.